Tonight, TNT has come to South Florida and Joe Robbie Stadium for an AFC East matchup with the defending division champs Miami, needing to win tonight to stay tied for first place with Buffalo. They play host to the Indianapolis Colts, who realize they're in a must-win situation if they expect to make the playoffs. And the AFC East standings up to this moment look like this. Buffalo 5-1, Miami 4-1. The Jets losing this afternoon to the Bills 19-10, and New England at 1-6. So tonight has huge implications in the AFC East. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Bender. So both the Dolphins and Colts come off of bye weekends, and now they realize they've got to go the rest of the year minus some key performers. First, for the Colts, they lost number 90 Steve Entman for the remainder of this season, the #1 draft pick in 1992. Entman playing against the Dallas Cowboys, an awkward position goes down. As an end result, he is out with the knee. And on the other side of the picture, after a remarkable 145 consecutive starts, Dan Marino will not be in the lineup. He's out for the year with a ruptured Achilles tendon. First time he's missed a game since December of 1983. Working with me is Pat Hayden. And Pat, Scott Mitchell gets the first start of his career. This is something he's waited for all his year and all of his life. And, you know, as you look at this 6'6" southpaw, he's extremely confident.
Well, not only is he confident, he is a bright player. And as the Dolphins found out in their last game against Cleveland, he has an NFL arm. In that game, right when Marino was injured, right before halftime, Mitchell came in, and his very first pass was intercepted for a touchdown, run back 97 yards. But the team rallied around him at halftime. He came in the second half and threw 2 touchdown passes. The Dolphins won the game. And Don Shula said to us yesterday, hey, that second half against Cleveland was really important, not just for Scott Mitchell, but for us, the coaching staff, and for his teammates to understand, hey, we have an NFL player here.
Well, Mitchell's got to realize he doesn't have to win it all by himself. He has an outstanding supporting cast.
Well, Gary, you know, most NFL teams have at least one unique player in their offenses. But when you think about the Dolphins, they have 3 very versatile players in Keith Jackson, the tight end, Kirby, the rookie, and Byers, who plays an H-back and fullback. Now, these 3 players will be featured tonight by Mitchell, and the offensive coordinator of the Dolphins really Gary Stevens likes to match up with those 3 players against the Colts linebackers.
Well, Jeff George will get his first start of the year. He missed 36 days in training camp because of a holdout, so he's only been in 4 offensive possessions thus far. Now, Ted Marchibroda hopes that he can give the Colts a big play.
And, Gary, the Colts desperately need big plays. You know, they've only scored 3 offensive touchdowns. They've been really tough, bad inside the 20 on offense. And, you know, like him or dislike him, and he does have his detractors, there's no doubt that Jeff George is the best quarterback on the Colts roster because he does have a big-time arm that can get the ball downfield. And Ted Marchibroda is delighted to have him back and starting. And he said yesterday, you know, I really have, for the first time this year, my starting offense all together, and we're expecting.
Very excited. 113 yards against Dallas. He's a bulldozer with speed.
You know, he is a bulldozer with some speed. You know, there's really a change going on in the National Football League. A lot of big backs who can make you miss, and Roosevelt Potts is certainly one of those. Came into camp at 263 pounds. And as Gary mentioned, had a big day against the Cowboys in their last game for 113 yards. And really, the Colts have actually changed their offense. They said, we have to get Potts involved very early on.
Dan Marino out for the first time since December of '83, a very painful time. He's gone for this season. We talked to him yesterday. You could see all the pain in his face, and now the Dolphins have to prove they can win without him. And speaking of winning, Don Shula with 322 wins, 2 short of George Halas's record. And interestingly enough, since 1970, when he took over here in Miami, his backup quarterbacks have posted a 25-7 record, a remarkable statistics. And so we're ready to go. The Colts have won the toss. They will receive Ted Marchibroda, who last year directed the Colts to an 8-game improvement, going to 9-7 after the previous year in '91. Indianapolis was 1-15, a remarkable turnaround. Stoyanovich to kick it off. Rodney Culver and clearance for Dan go back deep. Dan will go back. He will not bring it out, and the Colts with the first snap of the night. And Jeff George coming out We talked about the fact he was a holdout in training camp. He has an arm second to no one, and he's hoping to get the big play tonight for Ted Marchibroda. The Colts have so sorely lacked that. He, at times, has been brilliant.
Well, Gary, I think with Jeff George, the Colts can be a profoundly different offensive team. I mean, for the very first time in his 4-year career, he's got a good offensive line and a strong running game.
And that running game represented by the rookie Potts, who's a single running back. 3 wideouts is how they'll open the game. Reggie Langhorne will come in motion. Pitch to Potts. Flag on the play. Potts will get back to the line of scrimmage and gang tackle there. Troy Vincent filling first from that left linebacking spot. As we mentioned, flags everywhere. Howard Rowe, the referee for tonight's game. We had rain earlier in the day, and we could have some through the course of this game. It's offside against Miami, so it'll be 1st and 5 from the 25-yard line.
Offsides. Defense, number 90. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Looking at the Colts offensively, we mentioned Potts. Anthony Johnson will play some back there, but they expected to use Sean Dawkins as a 3rd wide receiver most of the night. Up front, Will Wolford and Kurt Loudermilk. They picked him up for $14.5 million, and that line has allowed only 3 sacks. 1st and 5 from the 25. Potts looking for some running room, gets maybe 2. Dwight Hollier, who's replacing John Offerdahl, who's out for 3 to 4 weeks with a shoulder injury. Let's check the rest of this Dolphin defensive wall. Up front, they're playing very well. Cross has 6 sacks. And Marco Coleman is coming back. He's playing with a fractured left hand. There's Hollier replacing Offerdahl in the middle. And then in the secondary, Williams and Oliver at the safeties, Vincent and Brown outside. Larry Webster has been shaken up. He's coming out of the ball game now, and Mike Golick has replaced him at defensive tackle. 2nd down, and let's make it 3. Potts can't get wide. Good reaction by the Dolphins, and the rookie fights his way back to the line of scrimmage. Troy Vincent over there. Also Jarvis Williams, as Hollier losing his helmet on the contact on the rookie Potts.
Yeah, you're going to lose a lot when you're trying to tackle Roosevelt Potts. Now, again, the key thing with a big guy like him, try not, or don't let him get started. I mean, and there's been great penetration thus far by this Dolphin front wall, and they're trying not to let Roosevelt Potts get too much of that momentum, too much of that 250 pounds moving.
3rd down and 4. You can see what they've done on 3rd and short this year. George with a lot of time, and the ball is intercepted on the deflection. It came out of the arms of Sean Dawkins, and the Dolphins on the deflection come up with it and give Chris Green, number 42, who plays their buck linebacker in the nickel, with the credit for the interception.
Well, quarterbacking is about confidence, and that is not good for his confidence. Jeff George, as I'm talking about, the receiver at the very top. Now, this ball should have been caught by number 87 Dawkins. That ball was perfectly thrown. It should have been caught for a 1st down. But I tell you, that's a great play by Chris Green, the same guy that preserved the win for the Dolphins against the Browns in their last game with an interception in the end zone.
He's been playing a lot since Lifford Hobley went out with an injury. 1st down now, outside the 25-yard line. Terry Kirby, the rookie from Virginia, takes it to the 25, a gain of 2. Quentin Coriat was the guy who made the stop. So Scott Mitchell, excellent field position as he starts his first game ever in the regular season. Something he's wanted to do all his life. Very confident, mature. He has everything you like in a quarterback. One of the things that impressed me is his leadership.
Yeah, and you know, the guys in the team like him. And you know, it's kind of unusual for backup quarterbacks, really. I mean, this is a guy that didn't waste time backing up Dan Marino. I mean, he took advantage of the opportunity and learned a lot.
Ron Shula said he's been trained for this. 2nd and 8. The southpaw over the middle, complete. Byers to the 15. He's got a 1st down to the 11-yard line. Byers has now caught a pass in 93 consecutive games. John Baylor there to make the stop, a 14-yard pickup. And that's part of the weapons you were talking about at the start of the show. Byers along with Kirby. Pryor coming over from New England. Ingram from the Giants. And Keith Jackson has 6 catches for him for touchdowns. Webb is an all-pro, and Sims is huge. Uhlenhake coming back from knee surgery in the offseason. First down at the 11. Myers now sets up in the slot to the near side. Kirby trying to get wide to the 10. Kirby to the 6. It'll be second down and 5. They're going to get a first and goal at the 1-yard line. So the interception by Chris Green, and Scott Mitchell now trying to get it into the end zone.
And what Scott Mitchell said to us yesterday was that I want to get into a rhythm of this game very early, getting the ball to Keith Byers and Terry Kirby and Keith Jackson. He's handed the ball to Kirby. He's had Byers blocking for him, and he caught one pass as well, and he's going to get the ball to Keith Jackson.
Second down and 5 to go. Kirby and Byers in the backfield. Kirby gets back to the line of scrimmage. It'll bring up a third down. Jeff Herrod, who has been really the pulse of this defense, who has been remarkably good and probably has not gotten the recognition deserved. He was out 4 weeks with a dislocated ankle. Came back sooner than anybody figured he would.
Yeah, you're right. Herrod is really, if he were playing on a team that gets on national television more, you'd hear a lot more about him. But because he is an incredible tackler. Now he'll fight through a lead block here, and then the block of the tackle Webb to make the stop. But Jeff Herrod, leading tackler of the last 4 years for the Colts.
Third down and still 5 yards to go. From the gun. Mitchell, timing pass, far side, up, broken up. Tony Martin, the intended receiver. Very good coverage by Ashley Ambrose. Started in place of the injured Chris Good, who has a neck injury. And so Ambrose makes them settle for the field goal.
You know, one of the corners, the other corner, Eugene Daniel, was saying about Ambrose, he has real long arms. Now, it's a relative term. He's only 5'10", but perfectly timed and stretches out and gets that long arm out away from Tony Martin. That is a terrific defensive play by Ambrose.
Pete Stoyanovich comes in to attempt the field goal. This is going to be a 23-yarder. He has a new holder in Doug Peterson, who replaces Scott Mitchell since Mitchell's become the starting quarterback. And Stoyanovich is right down the middle. He now for the year is 7 of 10. And Mitchell and the troops get 3 off the turnover. Having a pass that should have been caught by Sean Dawkins, picked off. Now down 3-0. And you know, you look at Sean Dawkins, the guy that they've started here tonight as they went to 3 wide receiver set. Tough for him, but Pat, you got to have those catches made. That was one of those that should have been there.
Now, Sean Dawkins is a guy they want to get involved. There he is, number 87, had 8 catches against the Cowboys, 144 yards, but on one circumstance against the Cowboys, ran a wrong route, caused a turnover, and now the one tonight. So, and again, they're trying to get Jeff George into the game and comfortable. It doesn't help.
Well, the Colts have not done well in the first quarter. They've scored only 7 points, and that was on a fumble recovery return on a punt. They've been outscored 48-7 after the 3 points. Stoyanovich to Verdun. Verdun out to the 25 and blocked hard at the 28-yard line. Really smacked there by Chris Green, the guy who just picked off the pass moments ago. He's out of Illinois. And so now George will start his second series with better field position at the 28-yard line. Look at this, 48-7. Now that return was a 56-yard fumble recovery return by Rodney Culver against these Dolphins on O.J. McDuffie's first punt of the regular season. Again, trying to go wide, using the stiff arm, and he's gang tackled to the 30. They swarm you, this Miami defense. That front 7 really gets to the ball. Jarvis Williams will be credited with that tackle, a gain of 2.
Well, for the Colts too, Gary, is they want to make sure that this is not an early knockout by the Dolphins. They want to keep this game close. You know, have a 4-quarter kind of game, playing on the road here. Your quarterback's just trying to get comfortable and get started. But they can't abandon your game plan this early. They're only down by 7 points. Keep feeding Roosevelt Potts the ball, because something good's going to happen. On a 2nd and 8, George has time again. A
Up the field, and that will not be caught. Reggie Langhorne trying to hang on to it. He's the go-to guy in the estimation of Jeff George, but you know, he's caught only 2 passes in the last 2 games.
Well, that ball was catchable too, and you know, you just wonder a little bit. Jeff George does throw a little quicker pass. It comes out of his hand a little quicker, a little bit harder than Jack Trudeau or Don Mikowski. So there is an adjustment period, but I think those were 2 balls that were catchable by wide receivers.
Again, though, he's getting the protection. This Colt line leads the NFL. Fewest sacks allowed, only 3 coming into this game. 3rd down and still 8. George over the middle. Kerry Cash, the intended receiver, the tight end, and so they're going to have to get rid of the ball again. Chris Green defending on the play. So 2 short-circuited offensive efforts now by the Colts. George is 0 for 3.
Gary, one of the keys tonight are the passing lanes that Jeff George is going to be searching for. You see the passing lane right in here? That is the passing lane that he's going to be looking for. They have a 5-step drop. They get rid of the ball quickly, and that's the reason they only have 3 sacks this year. You find the lanes, you get back 5, and you get rid of it. That's a poor throw, but a good passing lane.
Left-footed Ron Stark punts it away. O.J. McDuffie comes up at the 30-yard line. McDuffie up to the 40. What an athletic move. He may go all the way to the 20, to the 15, 10. Touchdown, Miami. Yards. So the guy who fumbled his first punt of his career against the Colts and had it returned the other way takes this one 71 yards after Stark had punted it 41 yards.
Gary, some punt returns are the result of some big blocks, but really that play, O.J. McDuffie, he did that virtually on his own. I mean, he made Anthony Johnson miss, and then he was off and gone.
9-0 as Stojanovic point after attempt out of Peterson's hold, and it's 10-0.
This Dolphin team has some young players who are really coming on, and O.J. McDuffie is one of them. When you lose a quarterback like Dan Marino, some other guys have to pick it up. So what do? You let your rookie punt returner return 171 yards and put you up 10-0.
Stadium. Well, if you have to play without Dan Marino, this is a pretty good way to get started, isn't it?
Yeah, Scott Mitchell saying, hey, I've done my part. Come on.
30-yard drive that culminated in a field goal and a 71-yard return of a punt by O.J. McDuffie. It's 10-0 Miami. Burdan and Culver back deep. Stojanovic kicking off again. This will be returned by Burdan. Again out to the 25 and to the 27-yard line.
You know, Gary, good punt returns just have a feel of where people are coming from. I mean, you can't explain it. They know when to burst, when to change pace, and sometimes they know when to hurdle. And right over Anthony Johnson, who was locked in on him, and then he just outran the rest of the players. But I mean, it was just kind of one of those feel things. It felt like he'd get over the top of Johnson and go 71 yards.
You know, the one rap on him is he doesn't have burning speed. But boy, he has good enough speed, doesn't he?
That's called fast enough.
Yes, sir. From the 28-yard line now, first down for the Colts, trailing 10-0. Wide receiver set again. George looking far side, completes it to Potts. Potts to the 30-32, dragging people with him out of bounds. He is strong. Jarvis Williams eventually wrestled him down. He checked in at 263 pounds, has gotten it down to what he said was 248. But as we mentioned, not only is he big, he has a burst.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you hand him the ball, it's like the running of the bulls at Pamplona. I mean, guys are getting out of the way.
I suppose you've been there. You were there.
Yeah. That was Hemingway. You probably never read it.
Well, I see that every year on TV. I know.
No, but I saw the movie. I know.
Second down and 6. Again, 3 wide outs. Potts coming out of the backfield, makes another catch. He's going to try to get the first down, dragging a tackler, and he's very close to it. J.B. Brown wrestled him down, just hanging on over there. number 37, and Potts lunging forward. And the Colts need some success here. They're checking to see if he got the first down. They're going to measure.
You know, Roosevelt Potts was saying yesterday, the first thing I do, you know, he's putting a lot of moves there on J.B. Brown. First thing I want to know is where's the first down marker? And that's what I'm thinking about, getting the first down. And after that, I'm thinking about big play.
Well, he's a big guy to make a big play. They're going to bring the sticks across. We said he had 113 yards against Dallas. That was the first 100-yard day for the Colts since Eric Dickerson in December of '91. And you can see they're considerably short of the first down. Now they had to bring them all the way across because the official sticks are on this side. And so Ted Marchibroda now wanting something to get going well for this team. Jeff George with his first start, and everything is blown up in his face thus far.
Yeah. Tell you, the other thing is those unofficial sticks are way off. They're off by 2 yards.
Third down, and let's make it a yard. A long yard to go. Line of scrimmage, the 37.
And this is an important down right now for the Colts. I mean, everything is going the Dolphins' way right now.
Arbuckle, the tight end, and a give to Culver, who's been good in goal line situations. He had 7 touchdowns last year. Forward, it wasn't easy, the umpire, but it is a first down. So the Colts with their initial first down of the night, after turning the ball over once and having a punt return, 71 yards, get them behind 10-0.
You know, and sometimes when the game starts like this, Gary, you're just looking for any positive to build on. Yeah, Ted Marchibroda's team trails by 10 points, but you know, they get that initial first down and you exhale a little bit. Now you say, okay, let's get in the rhythm here. Let's get something out of this drive. Get the ball to a wide receiver maybe now on the move.
Potts remains in the backfield. 3 wideouts again on a first down. George again has very good protection. Going far side. The ball is up. Jesse Hester, the intended receiver, and J.D. Brown. J.B. Brown got a hand on it. And Hester is their speed guy. He's their deep threat. And Brown did a very good job staying with him on the far sideline.
You know, we have seen 2 very good defensive plays by corners. One was by Ashley Ambrose of the Colts, this time at the top. Number 37 just kind of baited the receiver a little bit, had his eye on the ball the entire way, and that catch-up speed they talk about, and just as the ball gets there, he knocks it away from Hester. Ambrose did it for the Colts, and then J.B. Brown there for the Dolphins.
2nd and 10, and now into the ball game is Anthony Johnson in the backfield, and the Colts going to have to use a timeout. Some confusion, and Jeff George will go to the far sideline as we have 7:02 to go in this first quarter, as the Dolphins off to an excellent start with a 10-0 lead.
First down run by Rodney Culver. Not only is Rodney Culver a strong runner, he has exceptionally strong teeth, as you'll see in this thing. He gets pulled, he's pulling, and then Marco Coleman is going to pull his helmet off, and if you look right there, his old mouthpiece strap is going to break. But, you know, they're going to take him from the high wire soon.
He said, I got to get another vocation somewhere. George trying to scramble around and buy some time. Incomplete to Langhorne. I'll tell you right now, the receivers and George just aren't meshing well at all.
Yeah, and quarterbacking is about timing, and it's about confidence and being in sync. Jeff George in his first start tonight. You see he's off to that 2-7 thing. And it is getting used to receivers. He's got some new ones, particularly the rookie Sean Dawkins. And even with a week off, it's not like a game condition. I mean, you can't simulate the speed in practice.
Those receivers are excited about him coming back. What was it Langhorne said? The sheriff is back.
Yeah.
The sheriff, of course, being Jeff George. 3rd down and 10. Blitz coming. They pick it up very well, trying to set up the screen, and the back coming out of the backfield couldn't clear. Actually, it was Kerry Cash who he threw the ball closest to, but nobody could clear on the screen.
Tell you, Craig Vesey, number 94, really broke that one up. But, you know, Jeff George really kind of gave this screen away, I think, by backing up too deep and too early. But it's really Vesey right here who's going to make a play and knock the man off the play. But watch how deep George gets. Now, linemen, when they see that, they know it's going to be a screen. Vesey knocks the receiver off, incomplete pass.
Ron Stark hits this one very high. O.J. McDuffie going over. He fumbles the ball. It's loose. Who's got it as they scramble inside the 15-yard line? O.J. McDuffie running laterally across the field. Had to come loose, but the Dolphins have recovered. They're going to have it inside the 15-yard line.
That was the break the Colts really needed. That was a break like that. They needed something to go their way early in this game as they trail by 10.
Ronnie Williams was coming down there. Here is Jason Belzer, second-year man out of Oklahoma.
That should have been a clip. He got pushed in the back right there.
He was there quickly. Ball comes loose, but the Dolphins retain possession. Trolls is Captain Larry Chambers from Lighthouse Point, Florida. What a gorgeous day and night it's been here in South Florida. Had a little rain earlier, but it's cleared off now for this one.
I just thought the Phillies were in town spitting. Is that rain?
Handoff comes to Kirby. Kirby brings it out to the 15.
But you want to look at a special teamer, Paul Butcher, number 53 of the Colts. This is the guy. I mean, this is what happens when you're playing special teams. You play at night. You play in grass fields, getting all that grass and turf and tundra. And he's got enough dandruff in that hair to block a driveway.
Better check his shampoo. Gain of 2, second down, 8 now, just short of the 15-yard line. Mark Higgs now is coming to the backfield for the Dolphins. He and Byers. Here comes Higgs. And Higgs, a little 5'7" guy who's a nice change of pace for this team. When they go from Kirby to Higgs, brings it out to the 16-yard line, a gain of 2. Jeff Herrod making the stop once again. Higgs takes quite a beating. Don Shula was talking about he has led him in rushing the last 2 seasons, but he pays for it. But he hides behind those offensive linemen.
Yeah, he's only 5'7", you know, has earthworms on his breath. But he is the kind of guy, though, that is a great change of pace there for Terry Kirby. A good cutback runner. And even though he's small, you know, he's a powerful guy.
What kind of breath?
Earthworm breath.
Third down and 6. Mitchell from the gun. And this is Irving Fryer, and he's very close to the first down. Eugene Daniel was there to make the stop. Let's see where they're going to mark it, as Irving Fryer, so tough coming across the middle, and he does have a first down for the Miami Dolphins. So they get out of this hole from the 12-yard line.
You know, Scott Mitchell was talking about simple, easy throws here. This is Irving Fryer. He's going to stutter step, wait for things to clear out, and then the little slant throw. But this is a nice start by Scott Mitchell. You know, special teams posted him a lead, turnover, and Gary Stevens, the offensive coordinator, has given him a chance to feel comfortable.
First down from the 22.5. Mitchell throwing again, complete to Keith Jackson, the tight end. And Jackson has another first down, a 12-yard pickup to the 35. And Keith Jackson, who's been slow to the hamstring, said he's finally healthy. He has the explosion back. And a remarkable statistic coming into this ball game: 6 catches, 4 of them for touchdowns.
Well, you know, the remarkable thing I think about Keith Jackson is the mismatches he can create. That's what football, offensive football, is about. He can mismatch against a defensive line back in size and a linebacker with speed. So he is a walking mismatch, or a running one.
First down now from the 35-yard line. Jackson will come in motion. Mitchell. Jackson again to the 50. Dwayne Bickett giving chase, as is Belzer, and Jackson goes out on his feet at the 46-yard line, a 19-yard gain. So a 12-yard completion backed up with a 19-yard pickup.
You know, at the very beginning of this broadcast, we said Keith Jackson, Byers, and Kirby against the linebackers. This time he was matched up against 50, Dwayne Bickett, and that's a matchup that Keith Jackson talked to us yesterday about and said, I could beat him. And I can beat him if I get him on the move, and I can get away from him where he can't get his strong hands on me. And it's exactly what he did. They went in motion so Bickett couldn't jam him, and then he ran away from him.
So Bickett will have a long night if they continue to run that play. First down now at the 47-yard line. Mitchell scrambling around, and he's going to be dropped this time. Very good coverage that time. And Sam Clancy was there, also John Hand. Give the credit to John Hand. Hand with the sack, a loss of 6. That is only the 11th sack of the year for this Indianapolis team. And John Hand, who Will Wolford used to play against when he's in Buffalo, says this guy just beats you up. You don't hear much about him, but he just comes after you every play.
Well, you know, a former #1 draft pick, and he's had some great moments and some down moments with the Colts. But Rick Venturi, the defensive coordinator was saying, hey, John Hand is playing very good defense for us right now.
There's the man you're talking about, the defensive coordinator, Rick Venturi. 2nd and 16. Mitchell stepping up in the pocket, and that catch is made by Jackson. Keith Jackson, remarkable diving catch inside the 45 to the 44. The crowd had to wait because you could not see whether he had the ball, but he came out of there with it. Tony Stargell defending on the play, and this is a Keith Jackson offensive series.
You know, Scott Mitchell said, I learned an awful lot from Dan Marino. Now watch how he hops up here in the pocket. And Marino was always hopping up in the pocket to buy himself a little bit more time. And that's just what he did. Finding the lane, a good throw out in front of Keith Jackson. And there's Marino. Yeah, I'll tell you, that's
painful, isn't it?
Yeah, he was incredibly depressed yesterday as we talked to him.
He was. 3rd down and 8 after having 16 yards to go. For the 1st down. Wide open is Kirby. Kirby to the 5. Touchdown, Miami. 44 yards.
Gary, right at the beginning of this broadcast, we said the matchups with Kirby against linebackers Kirby, Byers, and Jackson. This time it's Harrod on Kirby. He's getting the one-on-one coverage because they're doubling Jackson and Byers, and that's another mismatch. Unique players who have created mismatches. We've seen 3 or 4 of them already tonight.
That is Kirby's first touchdown catch of his NFL career, and Mitchell smiling ear to ear. This is too easy. As his team now with a 16-0 lead, and Stojanovic makes it 17-0. Everything is going well for Don Shula's team, and the Colts thus far are absolutely having nothing go their way. So Mitchell is the man because Marino's out for the rest of this season.
The king is dead. Long live the king, as they say. This is a beautiful throw. Left-handers just seem to have, I don't know, just a feathery touch. Oh, Boomer Esiason, Scott Mitchell. And again, it was the perfect matchup they wanted. You know, on the other side of this play, Keith Jackson and Keith Byers were occupying safeties and linebackers. And then they come back to the weak side, and Terry Kirby on a linebacker, Jeff Harrod. Harrod is a great tackler, a great line of scrimmage player, Gary, but he's not going to cover Terry Kirby downfield.
This guy might be the biggest surprise of the draft, Terry Kirby, picked in the 3rd round. They didn't have a 2nd-round pick because Irving Fryer was gotten for that number 2 pick along with future considerations. Kirby was an outstanding high school player, voted the National High School Player of the Year in a lot of the polls, went to Virginia, and he is the guy who has the size, the big target, and has learned the offense so quickly. Very bright. And Ted Marchibroda now looking for something to get Jeff George going.
Yeah, remember we said they needed some big plays. This is the team that's only scored 3 offensive touchdowns all year. Your team is down 17 points now. Now is the time where you have to make something happen. Here's Reggie Langhorne, his 3rd down receiver. All 3 receivers there with Ted Marchibroda. These are the guys who are going to have to make something happen right now.
Well, George can't give them the big play, they think, and they're going to have to get some big plays, or they're going to have this one getting away from them early. 2:06 to go, 1st quarter, 17-0 Miami. George is 2 of 8 for 9 yards and an interception. That touchdown pass of 44 yards, the longest of Scott Mitchell's career, but I imagine he'll top that somewhere down the road. Verdun returning yet another kickoff. And gets out a little bit further every time. This time to the 30-yard line. Jarvis Williams made the stop. So from the 30-yard line, George will come back in again. The Bills on top now at 5-1 in the AFC East. Bengals the only team that have not won, and Eric Metcalf, 75-yard punt return. That was the difference in that ball game.
To win that one.
Yep. And the Saints now are only a game up on San Francisco, who defeated the Phoenix Cardinals in Candlestick Park. 1st down from the 30. George finds some time up the field, and Sean Dawkins can't get the ball before it goes out of bounds. That was a nice catch, but he couldn't stay in. Going high into the air, latching onto it. Troy Vincent defending on the play. Here's their number 1 draft pick out of California, 16th pick in the 1st round.
Yeah, you know, hard to figure out because this really is, even though he's out of bounds, it's a remarkable catch. 1 foot, and the other one's didn't come down. I mean, earlier in the game, one bounces off his chest and it's intercepted and turned into 3 points. But he's a guy that Jeff George was saying, we want to get Sean Dawkins involved in our passing game early. Now, they've thrown him a couple of balls. Nothing good has happened yet. But still, he is going to be a player that's going to have an impact on this game.
Look at the yards. Potts trying to go wide, and Potts straightened up and bent backwards. Tremendous tackle that time by Lewis Oliver. Potts, in the games we watched on tape, was hitting straight up the field. He keeps trying to go wide, and they just can't get wide on this Dolphin team.
And Gary, the reason they're going wide, though, is the Dolphins' front four are getting some real good penetration. I mean, Potts is not able to get to the line of scrimmage without having to alter his route. Every time he's gotten there has been at least one Miami defensive lineman 2 or 3 yards deep in the backfield.
3rd down and still virtually 10 yards to go. George, and the catch is made, but it may be short of the 1st down. Reggie Langhorne made it to the 40. They needed to get to the 40.5. Let's see where they mark it.
Well, if they're short, they have to go for it, I think.
That was a pretty good catch by Langhorne. He had to adjust his body. I think they're going to measure again.
No, they're not going to make it. I don't know. You're down 17-0.
They say it's 4th down. They're not going to measure. 4th down and less than a yard.
Well, they haven't been a great short yardage team. The Colts I'm talking about. And that's what Ted Marchibroda is thinking about. But you're down 17-0. Your record's 2-3.
And you still have 27 seconds to go in this 1st quarter. Ron Stark to punt from the 25. Wait a minute. They're going to stop this. Flags as Ron Stark punts away to McDuffie. Howard Rowe will explain to us what this infraction's all about.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 4th down.
Well, next Sunday we'll conclude our coverage of the NFL on TNT as the Detroit Lions on top of the NFC Central Division. They'll take on the Minnesota Vikings as the Vikings playing Monday night in Chicago. And despite all that quarterback controversy, the Lions are 5-2.
Yeah, Wayne Fontes is doing something right.
Yes, he is.
Warren Moon will be on the stadium show. Michael Irvin tonight. Warren Moon next week.
Cast of all kinds of big stars here, including Pat Hayden.
How about that?
Here's Stark. He didn't get this one as well. McDuffie coming up to the 25, 26, and he loses that first wave, and he brings it across the 35 to the 36, and we have come to the end of a very long 1st quarter for the Colts. A 10-yard return by McDuffie on a 38-yard punt, and Miami, without Dan Marino, still leading 17-0.
The Colts here at the end of the 1st quarter at Joe Robbie Stadium. Coming up at halftime, Kevin Kiley and I will have the highlights from the 1st half. Ernie Johnson will have highlights from the Bills, Jets, and the Browns-Steeler game. And Michael Irving will rate the receivers. You don't want to miss it at halftime.
Okay, Bob, as we start this 2nd quarter, 17-0. The Dolphins with the football in the lead as they'll start this one from the 36-yard line. Kirby fires in the backfield. Wideouts of Ingram and Fryer. Mitchell rolling that way. Got Sims blocking in front of him. The ball is up to Fryer, and it's incomplete. Make that Tony Martin in double coverage on the far side. Eugene Daniel was over there covering. And there's a little different wrinkle. Left-hander rolling out to that left side as opposed to Marino, who would like to come to the right side. That's a little change that you'll see now with the southpaw.
Yeah, it only makes sense. And as you look at Scott Mitchell, there's been a lot of changes in the National Football League, and Scott Mitchell is one of them at quarterback. 15 teams have changed quarterbacks since the beginning of the year, but the one thing he does have, Scott Mitchell, is an NFL arm. I mean, he is 6'6", he's 230 pounds, and he can get the ball downfield.
Pretty good coverage that time. Belzer coming over from the safety spot. That was the first miss after 5 straight, and that one, the screen over the middle, is broken up beautifully. That's Sam Clancy, who is playing in place of Steve Entman, who is out for the year. Clancy, 35 years old. He can't play every down, but he's an excellent pass rusher in his first start this year. He did start last year, 7 games, when Entman went down with his first knee injury.
You're right. Clancy was always, known as a pass rusher, but now in his 11th year, Rick Venturi was saying, hey, he's playing every down probably as well as he ever has. I mean, this is a guy who's played much better against the run than he has in years past.
Look at this on 3rd downs. Tops in the NFL. The Miami Dolphins, a 3rd down and 10. Mitchell up high as McDuffie can't hang on, and Belzer flying all over the field, tried to come up with a deflection, and so this time they forced the Dolphins to punt the football. Verdan, who last year returned a punt 84 yards against Miami here in Joe Robbie, will go back. 2-time Pro Bowler on special teams, as Dale Hatcher will punt for the first time. 17-0 if you've just joined us, as we've just started the 2nd quarter of play. Hatcher off the side of his foot, not a very good punt at all. Let's see, we're going to mark this one. So the Colts now are going to have some good field position and maybe a chance now to get on the scoreboard. That will be marked at the 32-yard line. 32-yard punt. 17-0 Miami. Johnson. Wow. Where'd this start? What yard line? And so the Indianapolis Colts are moving the football. 36-yard completion to Anthony Johnson. First and goal at the 10. Potts, who's been very effective on this drive, hitting straight ahead, goes to the 8-yard line. Chuck Klingbeil made the stop, and now some extracurricular activity after the play was over. And now flags come out. Marco Coleman. So the Colts starting now to get their offense in sync. Ted Marchibroda has to be impressed by this drive after having no success earlier. And let's sort this one out now. Penalty flags everywhere. I think Coleman may have been tossed out of the game. He has been. Howard Rose not going to put up with that. And so Coleman, who did not play in the last game due to a fractured hand, as you can see, the left hand is wrapped. He and Potts were tangled up, and the personal foul against Coleman plus the ejection.
We're at the end of the play, number 90.
Whoa. Is that what you call a roundhouse right?
That is. But you're right, Gary. This was just what this drive was just what the Colts needed. And it was a big pass play. This drive started on their own 33. But the big pass play to Anthony Johnson would have set it up.
This started from the 33-yard line. The 36-yard completion, as you mentioned, the big play. As now they're still trying to sort it out as Coleman will play no further in this ball game. It's 17-0. We have 11:26 to go in this first half. 17 unanswered points in the first quarter by Miami. So from the 33-yard line, Roosevelt Potts becoming very effective running the ball up the middle, complemented by the pass to Anthony Johnson. Now after a play up the middle by Potts, Coleman with a personal foul, and he has been ejected. And Brian Cox now having everything explained to him. So the Colts now with a semblance of getting back into this football game.
Gary, this is exactly what they need. 17-0 right now.
Pat Hayden having a little trouble with his microphone. We apologize for the audio difficulties. Hang with us. We'll get it all straightened out. After the personal foul, the ball now has been marked at the 4-yard line. First and goal for the Colts. Potts and Culver now in the backfield. Marco Coleman has been replaced by Jeff Hunter at defensive end. Arbuckle, the tight end, in motion. Play action. George clears it to the far side. The catch is made by Culver, and he is in for the touchdown. And so the Colts, after being down 17-0, score on a 3-yard touchdown pass from George to Rodney Culver. And Culver, who had 9 touchdowns last year, 7 rushing, has his first of this year. 17-6 with 10:58 to go in the first half. Again, we're still trying to get Pat Hayden's microphone back. We'll get him back just as soon as possible. Got to get my partner back with me. That's the first touchdown pass since December 20th of '92 that George has thrown when he threw it against the Phoenix Cardinals. Biasucci's point after on the way, and the Colts are back in this one. Nope, he missed it. He missed it, and it's going to remain 17-6. As George rolling out the touchdown toss to Rodney Culver. And the Colts now down 17-6. We're away. Brian Cox and Coach Don Shula got into a shouting match on the sideline. And Marco Coleman just left to go into the locker room. He's been ejected from the game. And a game that was going so smoothly for Miami, all of a sudden now a little bump in the road. And it's 17-6 as Biasucci will be kicking off to Mike Williams and O.J. McDuffie. We're still trying to get all these technical difficulties resolved here in the Miami area, so stay with us. This game now all of a sudden has started to change. It's pivoted. Biasucci with one of Pat Hayden's famous face masks. Hey, I hear you.
Am I on? Yeah, we just got thousands of calls saying, hey, Pat, you've never sounded better. But here I'm back.
I'm glad to have you back, partner.
He's big, he's back, he's beautiful.
17-6. Biasucci did miss the point after. O.J. McDuffie comes up. He'll have it. McDuffie out to the 20-yard line and able to wedge it out close to the 23. So a game that was really looking like it'd get away from Indianapolis. Some altercations there, some fisticuffs. Coleman is gone. The Colts are back in this game, and we're going to take a break. By the intensity of Brian Cox, and here's part of that intensity. He was upset because his teammate Marco Coleman was ejected for taking a swipe at Roosevelt Potts. So they tried to calm him down. Ron Heller was there. Shula coming over there trying to steady him. And we come back into the action from the 23-yard line. The Dolphins with a football in the 17-6 lead. Here's Terry Kirby trying to go wide, and you can see now the Colts playing with a lot more confidence both offensively and defensively. Michael Brandon made the stop. Here's tonight's GMC truck leaderboard. This is a very interesting statistic. Don Shula came to the Miami Dolphins in 1970. They have not made a change at the head coaching position. The Steelers have made 2 because of Chuck Noll. Of course, Tom Landry off to Jimmy Johnson. But look at the NFL average.
And then look at the Colts. The Colts have had more than anybody, 12 changes since 1970.
And, of course, Ted Marchibroda is back with his second stint as head coach of the Colts. Here's Mitchell giving to Byers. Byers will be straightened up, and it's an indifferent Colt team right now. It's interesting how this game has turned around. Tony Saragusa was there to make the stop on Keith Byers. It's going to bring up a 3rd down and still 8 yards to go.
Tony Saragusa, a very interesting guy, a character. I mean, this is a guy that loves playing outdoors, loves playing on the grass. He's a New Jersey kid, says, you know, Hoosier Dome just didn't seem right. You know, they serve shrimp cocktail there. He says, I'm a New York kid. I'm used to going to games, getting a hot dog with a vein in it.
What did he say, a pound of pasta a day?
Yeah, that's it. And he's now up to 303.
That may be nice.
Yeah.
3rd down and 6 yards to go. Mitchell, quick pass inside. Fryer across the 40. That's almost like a wide receiver screen as he slants it inside. That's a 14-yard pickup, 1st down to the 41-yard line.
We talked about the unique players creating mismatches on the inside for the Dolphins, Jackson and Byers and Kirby. But on the outside with Fryer and Mark Ingram, they also have some big play capability. And Irving Fryer, he's just not a receiver, Gary. You know, he's a football player. He'll block. I mean, he's the best blocking wide receiver in the NFL. He'll go over the middle, and he'll make plays like that.
That play moves it out to the 40. Higgs and Byers in the backfield. Here's Mark Higgs, and Higgs hiding behind those offensive linemen for center at the 40. And he'll be tackled by Jason Belzer inside the 30. 31 yards by Mark Higgs, a former 8th-round draft pick of the Dallas Cowboys.
Quentin Coriat, number 55, 2nd year as a #1 draft pick of the Colts, misses the tackle as Higgs just kind of steps out of it. And then it was Mark Ingram who made a nice block. We talked about Irving Fryer as a wide receiver making a block. There, the other one, Mark Ingram, allows Mark Higgs to gain an extra 10 yards because of his block.
That's the longest run from the line of scrimmage this year for the Dolphins, 31 yards. Here comes Higgs again. Higgs breaks tackles. He's a powerfully built guy, only 5'7", low to the ground, pumps the legs and gets to the 22-yard line.
You know, even without Dan Marino, I mean, Dan Marino's played this position of quarterback here since 1983 unbelievably well. But, you know, the thing about football, you have to pick up your rifle and keep marching. And with Scott Mitchell, they think they have an NFL guy. And then you look at all the other weapons the Dolphins have, Gary, offensively and defensively, and you have to think if Mitchell can come through, they can still be a factor in this AFC race.
2nd and 5, Higgs again, and this time he's buried for a yard gain. Well, it's happened before. You look back at the history of the Dolphins. Remember when Bob Greasy went down with a broken leg, and then Earl Morrall came on in '72, and they ended up 17-0 and won the Super Bowl. So this is a trend, I guess you would say, under Don Shula.
Well, incredibly flexible, too, Gary. He has won with all kinds of different types of players and different styles. You know, conservative for years with Bob Greasy and such. One with a no-name defense, one with the bomb. I mean, he's done it in a lot of different ways.
3rd down now, and still 4 yards to go. Mitchell, quick slant inside, and good coverage at time by Ambrose on Irving Fryer. So it's a 4th down, and Stoyanovich will come in.
You know, the missed extra point by the Colts to make this game 76 was a big play in this game. You know, making an 11-point game, 3 scores for the Colts to get back into it.
Stojanovic will be kicking this from the 30-yard line. Now again, Peterson has taken over the holding chores because of Scott Mitchell moving into the starting quarterback role. 40-yard attempt. Got a lot of leg. And Stojanovic is 2 for 2 tonight. A 23-yarder back in the first quarter. He adds a 40-yarder here. And so the Dolphins have bumped their lead to 20-6. 192-foot blimp is based in Pompano Beach, Florida. Gorgeous night here as the Dolphins now with a 20-6 lead. Gary Vendor along with Pat Hayden as getting ready to kick off will be Stojanovic. Off Pat Hayden, split the upright. Now, if people don't understand, that is a commercial where Stojanovic and Chip Lohmiller are trying all these different shots like Michael Jordan and Larry Bird. What is a Pat Hayden? This is Verdun, and they advise him to stay there. So they bring it out to the 20-yard line. So the last time they moved the ball, 67 yards. Tony Saragusa with Francis Pay, who is the former head coach at Northwestern, outstanding football player of Missouri. And Saragusa and Francis Pay discussing what happened on that last series.
Well, you know, the defensive line, coached by Coach Pay, did a very good job stopping the run early in this football game until Mark Higgs really got on track. You know, the Dolphins weren't really going anywhere running the ball. They had some success throwing it. But it wasn't until Mark Higgs who started carrying the ball that they really got the running game going.
You can see that big first quarter that Miami had. Potts the single running back, 3 wideouts. George on the play action, complete to Kerry Cash. The tight end's got a first down. Very well executed as they bring it out to the 31.5-yard line, a 12-yard pickup.
20-6. Miami is leading. Now Jeff George has to respond. A little bit earlier, drove the team for the touchdown, did a nice job, mixed it up, came up with a big 33-yard pass play to Anthony Johnson, and then Mitchell kind of responded to get 3 more points on the board. But with 6:26 remaining in this half, still plenty of time to really get something going here before halftime.
And those stats indicating what you're talking about. They are starting to get something going. Jeff George and the Colts. First down from the 32. Again, excellent protection. Completion to Langhorne, and he's gobbled up in a hurry. Langhorne will make the catch out to the 36-yard line, where it'll bring up a second down. At halftime, Bob Neal, Kevin Kiley, Michael Irvin, and the Fruit of the Loom halftime report. Also Ernie Johnson from Atlanta as we check the Week 8 results here in the NFL. Michael Irvin has 46 catches already this year.
He is having a huge year.
That's a pace of 123.
Your math is incredible.
Well, I know. I stayed up all night counting on my toes, my fingers. Here's Anthony Johnson, and Johnson going to be a couple of yards short. The ball has come loose. And the Dolphins have it. And coming up with it is Louis Oliver. So just about the time the Colts had things put back together, they turn it over, and they came in here a -5 in the takeaway giveaway department.
Yeah, number 91, I think Jeff Cross, who forces the fumble. But Tom Malavedati, the defensive coordinator, you're going to see number 91 come in. No, it happened a little bit earlier. Tom Malavedati, defensive coordinator, said, we want Louis Oliver in the middle of the field to make plays. So he can make plays on the left sideline, the right sideline, and that's why. Because he does make plays when he's given the opportunity.
So now the Colts for the year have 10 interceptions, and they have lost 6 fumbles.
Yeah. They're not good enough to do that, Gary. They're still a few players away from really being able to challenge in the AFC East.
First down at the Indianapolis 42. 20-6. Miami with the lead. 5:22 to go in the first half. There's a bootleg by Mitchell. Nicely done. Complete to Keith Jackson. Boy, they have some weapons. They can hurt you in so many ways. Quentin Coryatt caught up with him, but it's a first down, a 15-yard gain as Keith Jackson having a huge night here in Joe Robbie Stadium.
And there was a matchup again with Jackson against Coryatt, the middle linebacker. I mean, Gary Stevens, the offensive coordinator of the Dolphins, said, we want to force Quentin Coryatt and Dwayne Bickett and Jeff Herrod, these linebackers, to cover our tight ends and backs.
And they're not doing it right now. First down at the 28. Mitchell to Higgs. Higgs going to be stopped this time for a 2-yard loss. That was Saragusa who was there first. Tony Saragusa has his own radio show in Indianapolis. He's the Howard Stern of Indianapolis.
He is.
And he lives with a chef, so you understand why he has a pound of pasta a day. And they want him to get his weight down because he plays so well, but he runs out of stamina because he has too much weight he's carrying around.
Yeah, he is a character, but he's also a pretty good football player. I mean, he's a very good run stopper, very strong at the point of attack.
2nd and 12. That ball over the middle to Jackson. It's fumbled. It comes loose. The Colts trying to come up with it. And now they're going to say it will be their football at the 20-yard line. Let's see. Jackson upset about it. Jeff Herrod, number 54, is the guy who comes up with it. Let's listen now to Howard Rowe.
Ruling on the field. Runner was down by contact.
Whoa.
Oh.
3rd down.
Yeah, one judge, I think it was the back judge, actually ruled it was a Colts ball.
Yes, I'd like to see this, and I'm sure we will again. They are going to give the ball to Miami at the 21, and Marchibroda, let's look at it.
There's a little change of pace throw.
Hard to tell from that angle. We'll have another look in a moment. So it's 3rd down now and 4 yards to go as they fumbled it forward for a gain. Here is Mitchell. He had to double pump. He had a man in his face. The ball is thrown out of bounds. Fryer, the intended receiver, Daniel covering. Let's go back and have another angle of a near fumble.
One of the officials, I actually saw him signal that it was a Colts ball.
Well, I tell you, he was down.
Yeah, I think his knee was down too. He was stretching the ball out, trying to get the first down. I think it is a good call.
Yeah,
I think he is down by contact.
Well, again, Stoyanovich will come in. He's hit a 23 and a 40-yard field goal. And this is going to be a 38-yarder. So Stoyanovich trying to go 3 for 3. Not a very good snap, and the ball is up. I think I got a piece of it, and it hits the upright. It sounded like somebody got a piece of that one. Peterson had to set the ball quickly because it was a low snap from center. Daniel and Bickett coming up the middle. Let's see if they got a hold of it.
It was a low snap. No. But, you know, again, new holder in Peterson. You've mentioned it a couple times, Gary. Now that was a kind of a low snap. I mean, I think there's a rhythm between a holder and a center and a kicker, just like there is between a quarterback and a wide receiver.
And so it hit the upright, and the Colts, after the turnover, come out of there no worse for the wear. They have it now at the 21. They have 2 timeouts remaining, 3:02 left in the half. George, Hester, it's intercepted. J.B. Brown. Brown has it at the 45. And he is hit from behind. The ball is loose and long. Reggie Langhorne comes up with it.
Man.
We have uniform pieces all over the field right now. We have a shoe loose. We have somebody's thrown their hat on the field.
Tape, bodies.
Body parts are still intact, I think.
Yeah, I hope. Tell you, watch J.B. Brown, though. I think he is baiting George. You know, making the receiver look like he's open, and then he makes up the with a little bit of a burst, and then he takes a pretty good shot right here. But then it was Hester to cause the fumble, and the other receiver, Langhorne, on the recovery. Yeah.
Well, he comes out of that with the ball first down at the 33 after the exchange of turnovers, and Roosevelt Potts is hit by Lewis Oliver. Oliver collided with him and dropped him. That's reminiscent of the play that Dennis Smith made on Roosevelt Potts earlier this year for the Denver Broncos.
Well, you know, he plays like he's trying to plant the flag at Hiroshima. You know, he's a guy that's going to come in there, and you're not going to get by him. I mean, when he hits you, you go down. Now, remember, Potts is a guy who's 248 pounds. Oh. Hello.
Doesn't that remind you of the Dennis Smith hit, though,
Yeah.
we saw earlier this year? And Dennis Smith and Potts had that kind of a collision. Out it comes now, complete to Langhorne across the 40 to the 41. Going to be a couple of yards short of the first down as we come to the 2-minute warning. Well, this has been a very interesting first half. A lot of unusual developments. 20-6 Miami when we come back. Stadium, the Dolphins with a 20-6 lead. I'm Gary Bender along with Pat Hayden as we have 2 timeouts left now for Jeff George and the Colts. They have the ball with a 3rd and 1 now from their own 42-yard line.
Well, you know, the good thing the Colts have now is a good offensive line and a powerful back in Roosevelt Potts. They also have 2 physical receivers in Langhorne and in Sean Dawkins.
Play action by George. They got the first down. Kerry Cash, the tight end, and that was very well done. On a 3rd and 1, they faked it inside, came outside and picked up 10. That'll stop the clock with 1:54 and a first down at the 48 of Miami.
That's a heck of a call there by the Colts, too. He hasn't really been using Jeff George. They haven't really been using their wide guys enough. See, Langhorne only 2 catches the last 2 games. Langhorne and Hester really, if this team is going to get back into it, they're going to have to become factors and give them a chance to run after the catch.
George again getting the wall of protection, gets rid of it, and is it intercepted? It is by Oliver. Now they're ruling he trapped it. It is not an interception. He's still running with the ball, but it's been blown dead. Now the wall of protection was there. All of a sudden, then pressure came in the face of George and messed up the play. And fortunately for the Colts, it's an incomplete pass.
Now, as might be expected for Jeff George's first start, he's had some good throws and some poor ones. That was one. A poor one.
The ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. Brings up 2nd down.
And Don Shula believes he caught the ball, but most coaches feel that way. George took a shot after he threw the ball. Top of the screen. I think it's an interception.
I do too.
Yeah, his body, yeah, that should be an interception by the Dolphins.
So instead, it's 2nd and 10. And Langhorne makes the catch at the 42. It'll be 3 to 4 yards short of the first down. And with 1:34 left in this first half.
Yeah, interesting. The Colts have had 2 interceptions on this drive, but still maintain possession somehow.
Not exactly the way Marchibrough wanted to do it. And that will be a first down catch. Langhorne, the go-to guy right now, a 12-yard pickup. It'll be at the 31-yard line. Timeout now by the Colts. They'll have 1 remaining as we have 1:20 left in this first half of play. So Langhorne, who said, I can't wait for George to get back because I think I'll start catching the football on this drive, now is being utilized. Very physical receiver. Former Cleveland Brown who came over last year by Plan B and caught 65 passes for the Colts.
Yeah, but take a look at why of Reggie Langhorne is open. Again, we talk about passing lanes. 5-step drop, you get rid of the football because there's a huge passing lane. And when you have a target like Langhorne, again, he's 6'2", he's 270 pounds. I mean, that's an easy completion when there's nobody in front of you.
Boy, that's a trend, though, isn't it, Pat? Big, wide receivers now. We see Sean Dawkins, Michael Irvin is an excellent example.
I mean, if you can get them. I mean, you had the Smurfs there for a while. The game has really changed. We talk about big backs who are quick, but there are a lot of big receivers like Michael Irvin, of course, and Jerry Rice, and who can really make something happen like a little guy. They run routes like little 150-pounders.
Langhorne has 5 catches for 38 yards. 1 timeout left now. Line of scrimmage just outside the 30-yard line.
And down by 2 touchdowns. I think getting the ball into the end zone for 7 points. They have not been a good inside the 20 team, but they need a touchdown here.
George has hit 10 of his last 12 passes. And he makes the connection again. And Johnson, who's like a wide receiver coming out of the backfield, he had 27 catches coming into this ball game, knocked out of bounds. He stops the clock with 1:15, a pickup of 6, make it 5. It'll be 2nd down and 5.
Here's where a guy in Ted Marchibroda is trying to, there's Don Mikowski, number 7, signaling the plays, but A guy with an arm like Jeff George, this is where he can be exceptionally dangerous, because with a quick arm and a quick release, you can hold the ball a little bit longer and still get to the ball to the receiver on time.
Second down, a long 5, complete. This is going to be Dawkins. He backs for the first down inside the 18-yard line.
With 1:05 remaining, still, time is not the issue here. I mean, he's got plenty of time, still has 1 timeout. Don't waste it down here. Get the ball to a wide receiver. Give yourself a few shots in the end zone.
You see the time, 1 timeout remaining. Uh-oh, there's some movement there. It snapped over his head. George being chased by Cox. They're going to blow it dead. There was movement before the snap of the ball. So they did not have their composure, as the clock was obviously affecting that snap.
False start prior to the snap. Left side of the offensive line. Repeat first down.
Yeah, it had to be more than 1 guy. Let's look at it again. Well, it looks like it might have been Will Wolford.
I think multiple players. They could have called it on several guys, Gary.
Well, anyway, what it does, it moves the ball back out to the 24. It's 1st and 15 with now 45 seconds left in the half.
Yeah, but again, the quick arm, actually, I think in today's game in the NFL, it is easier to score a touchdown from right here than inside the 10-yard line, Gary.
They're coming with 4 wideouts, nobody in the backfield as George goes to the gun. And deflected. It looks like Cox.
Yes.
Brian Cox. Cox, who comes out of East St. Louis, Illinois, is a street fighter. He had to survive as a youngster there, and he plays the game that way. He just fights you every play.
Remember, we were talking about passing lanes earlier too, Gary. Now here's a passing lane that opens up and then gets closed down by Brian Cox. I mean, Brian Cox just felt that, read it perfectly, saw the eyes and the arms of Jeff George Cox. He moves over and makes a very athletic play.
Second down, 15. Cox coming. They are able to deflect him. The pass incomplete. Hester tried to make a diving catch inside the 10. Now that ball was thrown, a line drive affair. Hester just couldn't get there. 3rd and 15. 35 seconds left. Ted Marchibroda, 62 years old, 2nd time with the Colts. Last year taking this team to a 9-7 year. Before that, he was 5 years with the Bills, 3 years as offensive coordinator. On a 3rd and 15. Coming after him is VC, and he has to get rid of it. Craig VC, who they say is their fastest lineman, came after Jeff George. It'll bring up a 4th down, and so Biasucci will come in and attempt the field goal.
Yeah, Craig VC has made some pretty big plays in this first half for the Dolphins. That was one of them. You know, Larry Webster, defensive lineman, got injured. Marco Coleman got thrown out. So VC, who backs up everybody in the defensive line, it has to play more. And so, you know, he comes in and makes 2 very big plays.
Biasucci to attempt a 42-yard field goal. He's 11 of 13 this season.
This is on the infield of the baseball field, the Marlin field. A lot of bad turf in here, Gary.
Ron Stark to hold. Biasucci's kick. Oh, that looks really mean, and it's off to the left. Wicked-looking line drive, and so Biasucci misses for only the 3rd time this year.
See, we're talking about the turf, how it gets torn up here on the baseball infield. See the referee trying to make something happen there. I'm going to tell you, as a kicker, you worry about that plant foot in that new sod. It looked like his left foot may have slipped a little bit, but it was just a funny knuckleball that came right off his right toe. And certainly the face mask certainly didn't get in the way.
You love that face mask.
Watch his left foot, the plant foot. No, it's a pretty good plant. Yeah, just a miss. Just a miss.
Well, Biasucci started poorly last year, finished strong, and it picked up very well the start of this year. Kirby now runs it out across the 25 to the 26. 20 seconds left And so the Colts trailing 20-6, so we're going to have a timeout called, and it's the Miami Dolphins. They still have 2 remaining. So it's been a very pleasant first half for Scott Mitchell in his first start.
Yeah, you're right. Coaches Don Shula said about Mitchell, hey, we learned a lot about him, the way he came back after an interception against Cleveland in their last game. He's played adequately here tonight. I mean, and he said to us yesterday, he goes, I know I'm not Dan Marino, but I don't feel the weight of the shoulders, weight of the team on my shoulders. I'm very confident. I want to be a starter in the National Football League. And Gary, I think he certainly has the ability and the confidence to be able to do that.
Well, what impressed me, Pat, was when he threw his first pass and it went 97 yards the other way against Cleveland, and he battled back from that to throw 2 touchdown passes in the second half.
Yeah, it would have been easy to go in the tank. But, tonight, Gary Stevens, the offensive coordinator, said I want to get him off started quickly. He did. And there's the guy, Jeff George, that has to find a way to come up with a few more big plays. He had the 1 long pass to Anthony Johnson of 33 yards, but he's going to need some in the second half as his team trails by 14.
So Miami using the timeout, 19 seconds left in the half. And Mitchell going for all of it, and Tony Martin and he are not on the same page. Martin kind of on a button hook at the 50, and the ball thrown about 15 yards further up the field.
How can that happen after you just talked about it on the sideline? I mean, that's the surprising thing, to have a miscommunication after that play.
Yeah, that was obviously not what Don Shula wanted out of that play. So 12 seconds now left in the half.
The thing Mitchell said to us yesterday, too, he said, hey, I've learned a lot from Dan Marino. I mean, everything I've really learned about playing in the NFL has come from Dan Marino. He said, the thing I really learned is don't be indecisive. Get back, make a decision, and unload it.
That's right. Here's a handoff now to Kirby, and Kirby will be dropped at the 27, and they're going to use another timeout, or will that end the half? And that's going to be the end of the first half. 20-6, Miami, who jumped out to a 17-0 lead after the first quarter. Fruit of the Loom halftime coming up. Stay with us.
With the goal, with the uprights. I mean, Biasucci missed an extra point, and he missed a field goal down in the end zone where, they put that new turf in for the infield, and he has been struggling.
Well, even one of his practice kicks hit the upright, which didn't help his confidence at all. So Biasucci not helping his team out in this first half.
Yeah, 14-point game. Colt defense needs a 3-and-out right now.
Scott Mitchell has other ideas. He gives off to Higgs, and Higgs maybe a couple of yards to the 28-yard line. Just underway in the second half, as the Dolphins need to win tonight to keep pace with the Buffalo Bills that defeated the Jets and are at 5-1. The Dolphins come in here 4-1, and the Colts now have lost 2 in a row. They wanted to win tonight and have a reasonable chance to make the playoffs and even their record at 3-3. Second down and 8 now for Miami. Scott Mitchell, his first start ever, replacing the injured Dan Marino. Thus far, he's acquitted himself very well. And movement. Saragusa's pointing the finger at one of the offensive linemen.
Prior to the snap, we got false start on the offense, number 65. 5-yard penalty, repeat second down.
Jeff Dellenbach. The Saragusa was telling us about he couldn't wait to go against Keith Sims. Remember, he wrestled against Keith Sims high school, and I said, well, how'd you do? He said, well, I pinned him all 3 times.
Yeah, in less than 2 minutes. I mean, he had all the stats. But he said, Keith Sims also like the guy he likes to play against in football because he said he's a physical player. It's not one of these backup things, try to kind of just shield you. He really blocks you.
After the penalty, it's now second down and 13. Mitchell showing his mobility. This is something Marino does not do. And here is Mitchell being tackled. He fumbles the ball, and I think the Colts have it. Dwayne Bickett came up with it, I believe, underneath. That's who it is. Bickett comes away with it. Skip McClendon stripped Mitchell from behind. And so there's a second turnover by Miami.
Well, let's start with Tony Saragusa. We were just talking about him in the matchup with Keith Sims, number 69. Now, he gets blocked, but he doesn't stay blocked. Now, he kind of flushes Mitchell there out, and he's still hustling. He's getting blocked by 2 or 3 different guys. And here comes the fumble after that. McClendon, number 95, gets the left paw out there. And number 50, Dwayne Bickett, is there. And the defense did their job. We said they needed a 3-and-out. Well, they did their job.
And now Jeff George has to take advantage of it from the 28. Three wide outs. Potts a running back. Far side, Jesse Hester comes up with a catch. And Hester makes his first and extends his streak now to 52 games in a row with at least one catch. And that'll mark the ball at the 23-yard line. It'll bring up second down and 5 yards to go.
So the Colts, we've mentioned it before, they're on the 24-yard line, Gary, but they have just been awful inside the 20. You know,
it's the dead zone instead of the red zone, right?
Exactly.
2 of 13 coming into this game. George, nice touch to Sean Dawkins, the rookie from California, to the 11-yard line. And the Colts with a great opportunity here. That's an 11-yard pickup on the play. First down at the 12-yard line.
Well, you know, Sterling Sharp scored as many points today as the Colts offense has all year, but they got something going here. On the bottom of the screen, number 87, Sean Dawkins just finds that little soft spot, that dead spot, catches the ball. And then the nice thing, Gary, as soon as he catches it, he turns upfield and picks up another 8 yards.
Potts got a hole, and the 250-pounder is smacked down at the 8-yard line. I tell you, Jarvis Williams and Oliver from the safety spots, they pack a load. They remind you of a Dennis Smith and a Steve Atwater for Denver. Quite a collision again, as Potts is going to be stopped, and he picks up 5. It'll be 2nd and 5.
There's Jarvis Williams, number 26. This is a guy that can play close to the line of scrimmage and stuff you, but you know, he's still agile enough to cover tight ends and wide receivers downfield.
So we're talking about 2 of 13 coming into the game in the red zone. Delayed handoff. Potts fumbled the ball, but he got it back. It bounced back to him. Brian Cox came pouring through and messed up the exchange. And the Colts are very fortunate to have the football. They're going to mark the ball just inside the 10-yard line. A loss. It'll bring up 3rd down and still 7 yards.
Gary, the Dolphins had an all-out blitz on. This is number 25, Oliver. He has him man for man. But I'll tell you what, if they can get the handoff here clearly, they have a chance of a play. But the pressure caused a poor handoff and a fumble.
3rd down, 7. George. Goal line. Anthony Johnson makes the catch. Now he needed to get to the 2 for 1st and goal. Oliver made the tackle. Let's see if he got the 1st and goal. They are indicating 1st and goal.
Louis Oliver, as we said, they like to keep him in the middle of the field so you can't take him out of the plays because he's going to make a lot. Now that was a well-thrown ball by Jeff George and a good catch by Anthony Johnson in traffic. But when you have Louis Oliver tackling you, there's not many yards after the catch.
1st and goal, just inside the 2. Rodney Culver, and he's in for the touchdown. So Culver, who earlier caught a touchdown pass, scores on the ground.
Well, and now out-trots Dean Fiacucci, who's had trouble down here at this end. He can't wait for the 4th quarter, Gary. He's missed an extra point and a field goal down here at this end.
Well, again, to back up all of those problems, that's where they have sodded what was the infield skin for the Florida Marlins. So they are able to capitalize on the turnover. Point after attempt by Fiacucci, who's already missed one. The first he missed of the year. He was 5 of 5 coming into this game. And the little practicing he did has paid off as he's down the middle this time. 20-13.
Gary, in goal line situations, if you can prevent early penetration by the defense, you have a chance. The offensive line of the Colts did a great job, and Rodney Culver makes this a 7-point ball game.
This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League and is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Miami Dolphins and the National Football League is prohibited.
Well done, Gary.
And Fiacucci. Fiacucci's got to feel a little bit better about himself now, don't you think?
Yeah, he did. He got one through.
The last kickoff wasn't all that impressive. Let's see what he does this time. Well, that's better. O.J. McDuffie at the goal line. And, what a collision at the 17. Legs knocked out from memory. Culver's down there. Culver and Paul Butcher. We talked about Butcher earlier, but Culver scored 2 touchdowns and was flying down there on the special teams. There's Butcher. He's got a great name for a football player.
No, it's perfect. Yeah, special teamer.
Well, I don't think he's had a haircut this year, has he?
No. So that's part of the role of that special teamer.
Well, he played for the Rams last year.
Shoulder pads sticking out. You don't get the haircut. It's good.
He's scary. From the 17 now, first down. 7-point game. And they're going to stop this one.
Well, now we're going to find out a little bit more, though, about Scott Mitchell. We talked about him playing well against Cleveland under adverse circumstances. Now it's a 7-point ball game. Things aren't quite going well for his team.
Prior to the snap, we got false start on number 69 offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
That's Keith Sims. But Scott Mitchell, now he has to really kind of get back into rhythm. I mean, he needs to really get something going here because the momentum, if you believe in such, is certainly with the Colts right now.
Well, they got him started right with an interception that they turned into a field goal. Then McDuffie had the punt return, so he was in a very comfortable environment earlier. And here comes Higgs. Mark Higgs bursts out of there. That brings all the way out to the 34-yard line, a 21-yard run. He had a 33-yarder earlier, the longest from the line of scrimmage this year for Miami.
The Dolphins have players that can change the pace of a game anytime you get him the ball. Mark Higgs is one of those guys on the run. I mean, they've got a number of guys in the passing game, but Mark Higgs can change the game with the run.
61 yards for Higgs and 7 carries. Higgs again. And Higgs out to the 39-yard line. He just missed having 1,000-yard years the last 2 seasons, going over 900. Well, we talked about backup quarterbacks coming in and posting a 25-7 record. Look at Shula's win percentage by quarterbacks through the years. There's some pretty good names there. Marino, Greasy, Unitas.
Yeah, the others had some pretty good guys in it as well. Tom Maddie was in there for a while, played quarterback for a couple games. But there's a guy, I mean, this team was certainly good enough to go to the Super Bowl this year with him.
Higgs on a 2nd down and 4. He's got a first down, a cutback, and he's hit at the 42. He has come in and really given the Dolphins a lift. That's an 18-yard pickup.
Yeah, he's tired. You know, but think about Don Shula's running backs over the years. I mean, it's required a lot of skill to play running back for Don Shula. And this guy, Mark Higgs, has it. I mean, a great cutback runner. But, you know, Shula's always had kind of role guys, starting with, you know, guys like Mercury Morris, and then he had Jim Jensen as a receiver and Tony Page as a blocker. Mark Higgs gives him a very good change of pace.
Kirby has now come in to replace Higgs, and Kirby takes over. And Kirby's inside the 25, and they're running right at this Colt team. The Colts have been giving up 137 yards a game on the ground. That is 23rd in the NFL, and Ken Venturi can't be happy about that.
Terry Kirby just runs right through the tackle of Coriat, number 55. I mean, I think he kind of fooled Corey out there, made him think he was coming in, dips outside, and then breaks through the arm tackle.
First down, 20-13, Miami, but they're on the move. Myers and Kirby in the backfield. Over the middle. Irving Fryer makes the catch. He'll be short of the first down by a couple of yards, just short of the 15.
Jeff Herrod, number 54 for the Colts, gets very close to knocking this ball down. Just can't get the ball up quickly enough. I mean, Scott Mitchell, as the receivers were talking to us yesterday, but he's got a little bit of a change of pace on his throws. Marino just kind of drills it, but Mitchell has a couple of different types of throws, and that was one he just kind of let up on a little bit.
Just short of the first down. They mark it inside the 15, second and a yard, and Kirby will get the first down to the 11-yard line. Well, Scott Mitchell just handing the ball off, distributing the ball very well between Kirby and Higgs, and now has a first down at the 11-yard line.
You know, Gary, good football teams at some point in every season and generally every game have to be able to run the football. And on this drive, the Dolphins have run the ball beautifully. Really, he didn't get a lot of production out of the running game up until this drive, but that has been the difference right now.
Yeah, they had only 54 yards in the first half. From the 11, Keith Byers. He's going to throw it. Wide open. Touchdown. A catch made by Irving Pryor. Pat, we knew that Scott Mitchell was left-handed, but I don't know how many people know that Keith Byers is.
You know, it's funny. Every day at practice, Keith Byers practices throwing. I mean, you see him out there every day throwing the ball. And we said multiple weapons at the very beginning of this broadcast. Byers has thrown for a touchdown. Kirby has caught one, and Keith Jackson's been a major player, too.
So versatile, can do so many things. The kick is good by Stoyanovich.
A change of pace, Gary. We saw Higgs change up the running game, and now Keith Byers changes up the passing game.
You better practice throwing a little more. It did get there.
It scores. It counts.
Of his career, a surprise move by the Dolphins as they have a 27-13 lead. Stoyanovich. Verdin will bring it out. And he brings it out to the 31-yard line. Chris Green there to make the stop, and Green's been on a lot of kickoff coverage. We're going to take a break with a 27-13 lead by the Dolphins. 6:09 to go in the third.
Tonight's top story, storms on the East Coast causing delays up and down the entire eastern seaboard.
No, my plane's stuck somewhere back east.
Your flight has been canceled. The 5 most hated words of every business traveler. It's an absolutely guaranteed instant headache. You're just suddenly helpless. On a day like this, I know it's not the airline's fault, but that's not the point.
Sir, your plane has been held up.
I'm just looking for some answers. I want somebody to tell me my options.
In Los Angeles at 7 p.m.
I just want somebody to tell me when I can get out of here.
Let's see if we can reroute you to another city.
Those are the people I come back to. They try and find a way and make it happen. They give me my best option, maybe even on another airline. I appreciate that, because, you know, a little honesty goes a long way. Tell Billy to look for me at halftime. I'll be there.
So after cutting it to 7, the Dolphins now have a 14-point lead. That's been the way it's gone. 17, 14, 17, and now back to 14.
Kind of a nice ebb and flow to the game, if you will. And now again, it's up to Jeff George really to make something happen here again, and he's done it once before. But let's go back to the halfback throw and watch these two defensive backs. That's Belzer, the free safety, and Eugene Daniel. I mean, if you're going to throw a halfback pass, you have to sell it. And you have to fake out the two defensive backs, and they did, and it was wide open for a score.
He had to sell it because the ball wasn't a pretty spiral.
You're really caught up in that, aren't you?
The 30-yard line now. Jeff George, play action. Goes short with it. Completes it to Kerry Cash, the tight end, and he struggles forward for a first down. Now, there was a case of George showing good poise and patience, and now a wrestling match going on.
Pretty good chance.
Brian Cox, who was upset about Marco Coleman's ejection earlier, is right in front of the Colts bench showing his displeasure. But I start to say George showed good patience there. Nothing deep, went short, and got the first down anyway. 13-yard gain. I'd say this guy is hot. Intense.
Yeah, once he gets hot, he stays hot. I mean, he's got an unbelievable burst, does Brian Cox. And he's had a big year. I mean, you know, he's backed up all the talk. There's been lots of things that he said, but he's on the field itself, he's backed up what he said.
Yep. So a first down now at the Colt 44. 5:48 left in the third. 27-13 Miami. Play action by George. Pressure coming. Jeff Hunter's there. Hunter with the sack, his second in as many games. as he dropped at the 35, and that's only the 4th sack given up by the Colts this year. An 8-yard loss on the play.
Yeah, Jeff Hunter did a terrific job against Will Wolford. Again, he just kind of throws him away at the top of the screen. Wolford's number 67. No, Hunter gets rid of him. Here comes Cross, and here comes Hunter. And they say, let's meet at the quarterback, and that's only the 4th sack of Jeff George.
He started the last game at 7 tackles and a sack when Coleman could not play. Coleman's out again, and Hunter is making this opportunity pay off for him. 2nd down, and George is down again. This time it's Jeff Cross.
Looked like I don't know whether he slipped here.
Almost like he went down without any contact, but we'll have to look at the replay as it goes back to the 28-yard line. Now it's 3rd down and 18 to go.
And Jeff Cross, number 91, is right behind him. Yeah, he tripped up on his left leg.
Yeah, got a piece of him. So Cross, coming into this ball game, had 6 sacks, 3 of them coming against Cleveland.
Yeah. This Miami defense has played, other than one game, very well this season.
3rd and 26. George running for his life. And Jeff Hunter again. And all of a sudden, the offensive line cannot protect Jeff George.
Well, I'm not so sure that's the offensive line's fault. On 3rd and 27, I mean, there's just nowhere to go with the football.
Randy Dixon, Kevin Call was in on that last series. 4th down. Ron Stark to McDuffie. McDuffie to the 25, and he'll be tackled at the 28-yard line. Stephen Grant, the former West Virginia standout, there to make the tackle. 8-yard return, a 49-yard punt. The Dolphins by 14, and they have the football. I tell you, Eric's dad, Terry, has to be proud of him. He made some plays like that himself with the Cardinals. Here is Mitchell coming out throwing, completing to Keith Byers. Byers out to the 35, 3 yards short of the 1st down. 3:45 left in this 3rd quarter. Ambrose is slow getting up. He's the guy that replaced Chris Good at linebacker. And Ambrose, their 2nd round pick from a year ago from Mississippi Valley State. Looks like he's got cramps in his leg. When they start pulling those toes up, we're going to take a break. 27-13, the Dolphins. 7-13 as again you see the overhead shots here at Joe Robbie Stadium, courtesy of the Goodyear blimp, Stars and Stripes. It was back in 1926 when the first Goodyear blimp was put into service. That was your birthday, wasn't it? 1926.
I had one then. I didn't, not the whole year, Gary.
2nd down and 2 to go, and Higgs trying to ad-lib his way to a 1st down.
I don't know if you call that ad-libbing, determination, keeping your legs churning or what, but that's a heck of a short run by Mark Higgs.
He's carried the ball 10 times for 88 yards. It is a 1st down. Well, we talked about the first start for Scott Mitchell, replacing Dan Marino. What has happened through the years? And you can see here 2 wins, Strock and David Woodley. Marino lost in '83, his rookie year. Mitchell, we'll find out. And he finds a wide open Greg Beatty. And Beatty at the 29. It looked like he had almost thrown the ball away. And Beatty, who beat the Colts with a 1-yard touchdown catch at the first game of the year, made a 32-yard completion inside the 30.
You know, just when you think you can exhale and, you know, you're not going to have to face Dan Marino and all the things that he can do, you play a guy against Scott Mitchell who can move around a little bit back there, more so certainly than Dan Marino. And the thing about Scott Mitchell, too, Gary, when he's scrambling, he is always looking downfield.
When you're 6'6", you can see a lot when you're rambling on the far side of the field. So the 1st down now inside the 30. That's only the 4th catch of the year for Beatty. But we mentioned he made a big catch in the first game with 35 seconds left, a 1-yard touchdown catch that won the ball game. Now we're going to have a late hit on Scott Mitchell. So that will add 15 yards.
Well, here's the scramble. And again, scrambling to his left, but you see how he's always looking downfield, directing traffic? I mean, he's not thinking about running. He's just looking for somebody to throw the ball downfield to. And that's where a lot of the big plays can come, is after a scramble. I mean, defenses are too good these days, but if you can move around a little bit, you have a chance.
Saragusa pushed him out of bounds. That's what that penalty's all about. Line of scrimmage just inside the 15. Terry Kirby to the 10, the 5, driving to the goal line, touchdown. The third-round draft pick out of Virginia with a 14-yard touchdown run right up the middle. A 72-yard drive and 4 plays. Only took 1 minute and 52 seconds. Stojanovic, point after. 2:04 to go in the third. Offside is Eugene Daniel. The kick is up. It was down the middle as Daniel came across in the attempt to block it, and now another discussion ensuing at the 5-yard line. The old AFC East, the rivalry, and of course the Dolphins knowing that the Bills won and they need to win to keep pace, and Saragusa mixing it up inside. So the penalty will be declined, and they'll take the point after.
Take a look here. One of the reasons you put a guy in the I formation is so they can see all the lanes. Now, this play is supposed to go right here, but watch Kirby sees it and cuts it back right here for the touch. So you see the good eyes and the feel for the game of Kirby as he feels that soft spot, the right side. Dellenbach and Heller doing a great job, and then the power from about the 2-yard line as he carries the defensive back in. And here's what he says. This is his view. Sims, Eulenhagen, Dellenbach, and Heller all doing their job, walling it off inside, picks his hole, and then runs through strong safety John Baylor and gets in the end zone.
So Kirby with a 44-yard touchdown catch, a 14-yard touchdown run. So they will assess the penalty of 5 yards on the kickoff. The point after stands, and it's 34-13.
Gary, and now I understand why Dan Marino was so dejected and disappointed yesterday as we talked to him about his injury, because this Dolphin team has been demonstrated tonight has a lot of weapons, and different players can beat you. Kirby in the pass, Kirby in the run, Jackson, Byers throwing the football, and Fryer and Ingram outside.
You know, Marino put on one of the fine performances of the year when they went up to Rich Stadium in a windy day, remember, and won there. And that is a very big win as you look at this chase in the AFC East. The only loss they've had was to the Jets, the only game they didn't play well defensively. Stojanovic kicking off with 2:04 left in the third. Burdan has been busy returning kickoffs. On the near side and brings it out to the 30-yard line.
Always a bad thing when your kickoff return gets more playing time than anybody else.
A lot of returns. Join us for same-day exhibition coverage from Wembley Arena as the Atlanta Hawks take on the Orlando Magic. You'll get to see Shaquille O'Neal against Neek, Dominic Wilkins, Ron Thulin, Doug Collins will bring us all the action starting at 5 p.m. And then we'll follow with our final NFL game here on TNT, the Lions and Vikings. Jim McMahon, who'll be going tomorrow night against the Chicago Bears, his first return to Soldier Field since he left the Bears.
Shows you what kind of year it is. Jim McMahon is still starting and Dan Marino is out. That's the kind of year it's been.
And there's a completion of Reggie Langhorne. It'll be a first down out to the 42. 13-yard gain. Well, one of those guys that Jim McMahon would like to have is snapping the ball right now. That's Kurt Loudermilk, who came over from the Vikings. Number 63. They lost 3 offensive linemen, Loudermilk, Ryan Habib, and Gary Zimmerman. George, look out. Jeff Hunter was after him. He is hit hard as he gets a pass completed to Hester, and George is shaken up. He took a shot from behind by Jeff Hunter.
You know, everybody on his backside felt it coming. I mean, Hunter was in pursuit.
Wow.
Perfect name for Jeff Hunter on that play.
Don Mikowski getting ready to come into the ball game as they're going to have an official's timeout while they assist Jeff George. Let's look at this again.
You know, number 97, there is no quit in Jeff Hunter.
Holding that shoulder, looked like.
Gary, we said 15 NFL teams have had changes at quarterback this year, this season. I mean, we're only in week 8 here. Halfway through the season, and over half the teams have made a change because of injury or voluntarily.
So Mikowski, who came in relief of Jack Trudeau last week, he took over on the second possession of the third quarter. The reason for the cheering has nothing to do with the injury. It's because this guy, Dan Marino, on the scoreboard.
I mean, Dan Marino, I mean, other than Joe Montana, who's won 4 championships, Dan Marino has played this position of quarterback really as well as it can be played. And you kind of hope, Gary, his career doesn't kind of end up like Dan Fouts, where Dan Fouts played so superbly but never got to the Super Bowl or never won a Super Bowl. You kind of hope it turns out for Dan Marino a little bit differently.
So the completion of 15 yards set it up to 43. Mikowski, the quarterback, the former Packer, give to Potts. He's to 30, 25. There's no quit right now on this Colts team. Troy Vincent made the stop. That's a 17-yard run. Mikowski had some good moments in Green Bay.
And Roosevelt Potts is going to have a lot of good moments for the Colts over the year. I mean, good blocking there by William Schultz and Kirk Loudermilk, the center. And then we talked about Potts being a big guy, 250 pounds, but a little maneuverability. I mean, he's able to pick his way through the hole.
Jeff George has come back into the game. So George out. First down from the 25. Here's Potts again. And Potts lumbers inside the 20 to the 18, and we have come to the end of the third quarter.
You know, a lot of Jeff George has a lot of detractors, but I think it shows an awful lot right now that Jeff George is back in this football game for the Colts.
Matt Hayden as we go to the final quarter, a 21-point lead for the Dolphins, but Jeff George comes back in. This team moving the football. They have a 2nd down and 4 as we come back. The line of scrimmage just inside the 20-yard line. George in this half is 6 of 6 for 65 yards. And Pat, you made a very valid point. Coming back after that big hit from Jeff Hunter, you're going to win your teammates over.
Yeah, and he needs to do that right now. And I think his teammates take that into consideration. Now they're chasing the cheerleaders out of the end zone right now, and in that kind of game. But
put the world on hold for the cheerleaders. Yeah.
But, you know, that is important. Win or lose the game, that was an important moment, I think, for George.
Delayed handoff to Potts. He needs 4 yards, and he's not going to get it. He lost a yard. It'll bring up a 3rd down and 5, a loss back to the 20.
You know, Jeff Cross, number 91, who made that tackle for the Dolphins. You know, he has always been a good pass rusher, Gary. You're going to see number 91. But what he has done this year has been really good on the runs, the run defense. I mean, he's got 7 sacks on the year right now, but it's really plays like that, stuffing Roosevelt Potts when the Colts are trying to get back in the game. It's going to make a difference in the Dolphins season.
3rd down and 5. Trying to get wide, he's got a block. He is going to be very close to the 1st down. He needed to get to the 15. Let's see where they spot the football. That will be the critical part of this play. If not, it'll be a 4th down, and they're going to spot it short of the 1st down.
Yeah, Reggie Langhorne, the wide receiver, though, gave Potts a pretty good block.
So 4th down, less than a yard for this year. The Colts are 0 for 3 on 4th down conversions.
Watch the block by both wide receivers. Then number 67, Wolford. All 3 of those guys get their men. But the wide receivers really screen their guys off. and give Potts the opportunity to try to run for the first.
And George is going to ask for a timeout on this 4th down with 13:35 left in the game. So the Colts with 2 timeouts remaining. 34-13. George and the Colts trying to get back in this game from Joe Robbie in Miami. Had the success that Dan Marino's had. You listen. And Scott Mitchell, along with Peterson, listening very attentively, talking about he was wide open on that one play.
Yeah.
What a wonderful brain trust to have for Scott Mitchell.
But, you know, give Scott Mitchell some credit. He told us yesterday, you know, I listened to Marino over the past 4 years. I didn't waste it. I tried to soak up as much as I could.
4th down. Culver, he's got it. Good second effort. He was initially stopped by Hunter. Hunter is limping. And Culver with a touchdown catch and a touchdown run gets a first down, their first conversion successfully on a 4th down this year.
You know, the Colts have an awful lot of confidence in Rodney Culver as a short yardage back because, you know, they don't give the ball to Potts here. Potts is the lead blocker. And again, I tell you, Hunter, or is that Cross, just blew his man Arbuckle into the backfield.
Pitch to Potts. Potts lowering his head, and just a very good effort for 2 yards. He worked for those 2 yards to the 10-yard line. Eventually, Bruce Alexander, who they used the nickel, was up to make the stop. There he is, number 32.
You're right, Gary. I mean, you don't have to have a 15-yard run to be a good run. That thing was only 2 yards, but he got everything out of it and more. I'm talking about Roosevelt Potts.
Anthony Johnson comes in. Potts checks out on a 2nd and 8. He completes it to the man who just checked in, Johnson. Johnson will be stalled at the 7-yard line. It'll still be a 3rd down and 5 yards to go.
You know, it's remarkable about Lewis Oliver, who just stopped Anthony Johnson there, Gary, tonight. I mean, there have been some plays made in front of Lewis Oliver, but I don't think there's been a yard gain after he hits you.
Yep. And he can intercept too. 3 straight years, Pat, he's had 5 interceptions. A sack. That is the 4th sack of the game. Cox with his first, and this team, remember, had given up 3 in the first 5 games. And now another pushing and shoving match in the far side in the end zone area has finally been cooled down.
Brian Cox, we talked about his unbelievable burst. Unbelievable burst of Cox, number 51. Watch how he gets outside here and makes the play. He gets locked up with call number 71 and just kind of fakes him out like a basketball move and then wraps him up. And once he wraps you up, you're going down.
That's his 4th sack of the year. And Marchibroda upset about the shoving match that was going on the far side. And now some changes for the Dolphins as we have another timeout, and the Colts have 1 remaining.
Well, it's a 21-point game, and they have to go for it. So you're seeing a nickel defense, or actually the dime defense in here by the Dolphins. Now they can, Gary, get a first down right there, what, about the 2-yard line?
That's what they got to get to. They're going to have a 4th down and 16 coming up.
Yeah, so again, when you're Jeff George and you're over there talking to Ted Marchibroda, you're saying, hey, you got to remind your receivers to make sure they get to the end zone and then work their way back. No sense catching an 8-yard pass.
You know, it's amazing. The Dolphins did not have a sack in the first 2 games.
Yeah.
Now they've come on to have 6 against Cleveland, and now 4 tonight. They've really picked it up as far as the pass rush is concerned.
Well, Kirk Loudermilk, the center of the Colts, saying, hey, this front 7 of the Dolphins, the last 3 weeks, they have really turned it up.
What? You can hear that clear up here.
No timeout.
Now they're indicating they're giving the Colts a timeout back, which would mean they'd have 2 timeouts left. We'll confirm that for you. Well, it's 4th and 16.
Charge timeout on Indianapolis. There was a delay in breaking up the skirmish. No charge timeout.
That was the skirmish I was talking about in the extreme corner of the end zone. So they have 2 timeouts left. 4th and 16. George, end zone, some pushing interference against Vinson. Troy Vinson, good coverage that time, bumping and shoving all the way out of the back of the end zone. The intended receiver was Sean Dawkins. That'll give him a first down.
I'm not sure. Is that ball catchable when it's thrown into the end zone?
Well, they were shoving and bouncing each other all the way in that end zone area.
Pass interference. Number 23 in the end zone. Spot the ball at the 1-yard line. First down.
He was shoving and pushing him there, but the ball is out of bounds, out of the field of play.
It's a valid point.
And part of the rule is the ball has to be catchable. See, there's another thing. It's the second week in a row I think we've seen guys slip on the white lines.
Yeah, that happened in the Georgia Dome last week.
Yeah,
remember?
The Rams, Sean Gilbert pulled a hamstring on the white line.
Well, it's 1st and goal at the 1. And they've got a mix-up. They're short a player. They've only got 10 guys, I think. They've got a guy trying to come on the field. Now Johnson doesn't know whether to come on or not. There's all kinds of confusion. And no place to go that time by Culver. Anthony Johnson didn't know what to do.
Well, there are only 10 guys out there. I mean, you know, every week there's 10, 1, 2, there's a guard there, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Anthony Johnson's way over there.
And nobody could tell him what to do.
In or out, he's not sure, but you know, they had a negative play there. I mean, you could have done a couple of things. Either call timeout, throw the ball away, but yeah, and you know what, he's right. I mean, he's not in charge of getting people out there on short yardage situations. Everybody knows what teams you're on. You're on goal line, you're on punt team, and that's the player's responsibility, not Jeff George's.
Well, and George showing some fire here now. They're going to use that timeout that they got back a while ago. So the Colts have 1, but the interesting thing of all that was Anthony Johnson was so far away. Had he decided to come into the play, they wouldn't have gotten the ball snapped in time anyway. That was how far out of the picture he was. Now, is it his fault? Whose fault is it?
Well, it's not Jeff George's fault. I mean, players have to know what teams they're on. When you have a 1st and goal on the 1, your short yardage team, you got to be in there. Now, the bad news, though, for the Colts, though, Gary, it goes from really a running situation when they're on the 1-yard line. Now they're on the 3.
Yep.
With a 2nd down.
And you lose at a timeout that you had gotten back. And 2nd down coming up.
And you're trailing by 21. Every timeout is important. I do give Jeff George and Ted Marchiborough and his Colt team some credit, though. I mean, they could have been blown out early in this game. And, yeah, they're trailing by 21 points, but they're knocking on the doorstep. They haven't given up. Jeff George got hurt. He came back in the ball game. And they probably won't win this one. But you know, I think he earned some respect of his teammates.
Yeah, I agree. He's 7 of 7 this half for 68 yards, but he's been sacked 4 times. There's all kinds of mix-up again. They're going to call this one back. Forget the play. Hester made the catch. It looked like Will Wolford, the former Pro Bowl player for the Buffalo Bills, from the left tackle spot, moved.
He definitely did.
Prior to the snap, we got false start on number 67 offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
So they're going backwards right now.
Yeah. Well, you know, as long as you have to throw it, you just as soon have more room back there, because now it's absolutely a throwing down. They have 3 shots in the end zone. Now, and again, you have to be careful of is Lewis Oliver and Jarvis Williams settling in there and just reading it and driving on the ball.
Well, Oliver had a 103-yard return last year against Buffalo. Second down and goal from the 9. And they're going to get to the 5-yard line. Anthony Johnson is just absolutely swarmed that time. Jarvis Williams is there. That's what the Colts are telling us. It's a swarming defense. They get a lot of aqua shirts on top of it.
You know, you're just seeing more and more of this zone defense inside the 20-yard line. Anthony Johnson right here just going to delay and slip out here. Then you're going to see everybody rallying to him.
Third and goal from the 6. He got it in there. Langhorne makes the catch and a 6-yard touchdown strike. And the Colts didn't make it easily, but they got in there.
That is a heck of a throw and a great catch by Reggie Langhorne. I mean, you have to be able to play under some adversity in this league, and boy, the Colts have had it. They've had it this season. They've had it tonight. But man, give them some credit. The offensive line did a nice job there. George with a quick arm, the quick throw, and in traffic, Reggie Langhorne can out-muscle you, and he did right there.
That's his first touchdown catch of the year. 6-yarder. 34-19. Biasucci, who's missed one PAT, to attempt this one. 13 plays, 70 yards, took 7 minutes and 8 seconds. So it's back to a 14-point game. 9:56 remaining in the fourth quarter. Jeff George took him 70 yards, 34-20. Now, the Dolphins anticipating an onside kick have all the good hands people up there as Biasucci now getting ready to approach the football. 9:56 left in the game. The Colts have one timeout left, down by 14. Understand Jeff Hunter now is out with a strained right knee. So Coleman's been ejected, Webster's been hurt, and Hunter's out. They're getting very thin up front. Biasucci kicks it away. O.J. McDuffie. This guy's exciting. And Biasucci ran into him, and Biasucci may have hurt himself, and a flag comes late.
Yeah, Biasucci right through that big old face mask of his. I mean, you know, we talk about kickers' face masks all the time, but he took a helmet right in the middle of that face mask. Whoa, yeah, right there.
Oh, yeah,
Man.
look at that.
Got his lip, I think, too, and his nose. Well, you don't see kickers bleeding too often, but man, that's what happens when you get those kickers' face masks.
Going to have a personal foul against the Colts, so they'll move it 15 yards further up the field.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness, number 59 on a kicking team. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Yeah, he just took the helmet, O.J. McDuffie's helmet, right in the face.
He'll change that face mask now.
Oh, now, yeah, he's going to put the full nose tackle's face mask on now.
He'll have a shiner tomorrow. That was on Stephen Grant. So it sets the ball up at the Dolphin 49. Keith Byers will go in motion. Mitchell to Higgs. And Higgs will be gobbled up. Dwayne Pickett was there along with other people. Let's go back to the touchdown a moment ago.
Okay, this was a heck of a play by the Colts because this is Langhorne right now. He's going to be double teamed by this player, and this is the free safety Oliver. But it's a little stutter step, runs a slant, and then just kind of stops in there so that the free safety, Lewis Oliver, can't make the play. And the perfectly thrown ball on time, actually before even the receiver had turned around, and that resulted in 6 points for the Colts.
Gain of 2, 2nd and 8. Langhorne with the catch, his first touchdown catch of the year. Other way, Higgs now has 91 yards rushing. That's his high for the year. He had 76 earlier this year. Look at this effort. He just won't quit. When you're built that low to the ground, you don't have a long ways to go down, and he didn't go down.
Yeah.
And he's very close to a first down.
Yeah, Mark Higgs is a determined runner. I mean, there's a lot of good runners in the league with their own style. But, you know, he doesn't give you too many shots at his legs. He gets low. He gives you his helmet and his shoulder pads. But it's hard to get to his legs.
Coming into tonight, he had 5 career 100-yard games. He has 98 tonight, 60 in this half. Third down and a yard to go. Mark Ingram has been very quiet. Comes in motion. Here comes Higgs. And boy, Coriat, Quentin Coriat, who was one of 2 first-round draft picks a year ago. He was number 2. Entman was number 1. And Coriat out of Texas A&M met him in the hole. They're going to measure to see if they got the first down. Coriat, they say when he gets all of this system learned, he'll be even better yet, because once he knows what to do, he gets there in a hurry.
Well, he's learning awfully fast. And the thing about Quentin Coriat, yeah, he's made some mistakes, Gary, but what Rick Venturi, the defensive coordinator, was saying is, he doesn't really make them a second time.
Now they're going to be short of the first down. 8 tackles for Coriat. We mentioned Entman being the first pick a year ago and out of this game.
Play middle linebacker with Quentin Coriat. First you do is you read the play, you see the double team, you step around it. The nose tackle and Saragusa suck up all the blocks, and then you make the stop. I mean, it was a good read, first of all, by Coriat, and then a physical play to keep him short of the first down.
4th down, they're going for it, and the Dolphins have attempted only one other 4th down this year, and they were successful on that one. They're going to go to Higgs, and Higgs is stacked up. I don't think he got it. That was Sam Clancy, 76, and Jason Belzer, and they stopped him. They'll take over.
Well, yeah, we were talking about what a determined runner Mark Higgs is, but he had absolutely no shot at all.
Wow.
It was Sam Clancy, and Sam Clancy was playing nose tackle. Now he's right here. He's just going to stand his center up and then make the play.
Well, that's well done.
And Belzer from the outside.
Not bad for a former basketball player, 3rd-round draft pick of the Phoenix Suns.
We still have an interesting game with almost a little less than 8 minutes to go.
7:52 left in it. There's a ball that should have been caught. That's the way they started the game. Gary Cash dropped a sure catch at the 50-yard line. So what they had early, dropped balls, now it comes back. And that's the first incomplete pass in the second half for Jeff George. He's 9 of 10 for 76 yards. And he's done it with a lot of people coming after him. He's been sacked 4 times this half.
The one thing the Colts haven't done, though, is when they're throwing the ball, the receivers are getting hit right away. They need to get somebody in the move to make a run after a catch.
Brian Cox off the mark quickly. George stepping up, gets rid of it. And Cash hangs on to this one. That's quite a catch. He had Bruce Alexander draped on him. And give George credit. He had to step up against the pressure, and he got the ball out of there in a hurry. They're going to be short of the first down by a couple of yards. 3rd down coming up. Third and 2. And that's intercepted. The guy you were talking about is Oliver. He's on his way. He'll take it all the way for 6. He's not going a direct line there, but he'll get there. .56 yards.
Gary, Louis Oliver is really a unique player in the sense that, I mean, he could be such a physical player and play close to the line of scrimmage and pound you and knock your helmet off. But, watch here how he just kind of fools Jeff. He's going to sneak over, and then George didn't even see him. Just kind of walks over. George is looking to his left. Now he runs. Now he picks it off. But we're talking about him being a physical guy, but with a great feel for the game. And I think that's a real unique combination.
That's quite a combination at safety. 2 former Florida Gators playing back there. And Oliver, his 2nd interception of the year, his 21st of his career. 41-20. Miami, as they're going to keep pace with the Buffalo Bills. 6-yard return for a touchdown. 41-20, and Pat, you said it very well. Oliver just set up Jeff George.
Yeah, but watch Jeff George here. I mean, once you throw the interception, just can't cuss at yourself. You got to go over and try to make a play. I mean, he's just watching bodies going by like on the freeway.
You know, you got pretty good at tackling those guys after you intercepted.
I was the only quarterback in the league they used to give tackling practice to, and made some of my great plays. Okay there, Gary, don't trip.
I remember we ran one where you made a diving catch. Or should say tackle. I was so impressed. I didn't remember that.
I love you.
Verdun. And Clarence Verdun out to the 27-yard line. And so the Colts will start there with 6:58 left to go in this game.
You know, after Lewis Oliver kind of took that circuitous route to the end zone, Will Wolford of the Colts, the offensive tackle, went over and reminded him, hey, don't do that kind of stuff. You know.
It wasn't the shortest distance between 2 points.
No, but you're going to see Will Wolford come up and whisper in his ear, hey, nice play, nice interception, but just get in the end zone and don't rub it in. Well, that's not like Lewis Oliver. He's going to make a play, and he's going to rub it in.
I guess if you're good, you flaunt it, huh?
Yeah, I guess.
From the 26-yard line, George starts again. And he begins his return again as the catch is made by Reggie Langhorne, and Langhorne very close to the first down, and is one. It'll be an 11-yard pickup. Let's take now another look at Week 8 in the NFL on tonight's Coors Light scoreboard. We talked about the Bills winning today to go to 5-1, and so the Dolphins wanting to stay tied for first. Houston bouncing back. Warren Moon with a strong day. Eric Metcalf with big plays in that ball game, and the Seahawks winning today without scoring a touchdown. All field goals as George scrambling around and delivers the ball to Hester, and he'll have it out at the 45, 3 yards short of the first down. That'll stop the clock with 6:15. The Saints now have lost 2 in a row. Atlanta's won 2 in a row as Thursday night here on TNT they ended the losing streak. 49ers defeating the Cardinals, and they're a game back of the Saints, and the Lions 5-2 now, and we'll see the Lions Sunday as they'll square off against the Minnesota Vikings. Coverage beginning at 7:30 Eastern.
You could do a lot of cocktail chatter. I'm going to have you over a party because you have a lot of information floating around in there.
Well, not only that, I'm cheap.
We know that.
Here's Anthony Johnson, and Johnson's got the first down. What I mean is my fee's not high.
I see.
I should have restated that a little differently, I guess. At the 42, first down. Boy, I really set myself up, didn't I? So Jeff George, who hasn't played a lot this year, he had been on only 4 possessions prior to tonight, getting a lot of playing time, and it has not been all that pleasant. So he can still get the ball there in a hurry. That's incomplete inside the 35. That's Sean Dawkins trying to make the catch.
You know, if he talks about Jeff George's release, much like they do about Marino's, and if you have a quick release, I think it does 2 things for it, Gary. It lets you wait for the receiver a little bit longer. I mean, you don't have to throw it exactly on time. And I don't think it doesn't give the defensive back as much time to react. And that's why it's a real advantage for guys like Marino and George with their releases.
The next pass will be the 42nd of the game for George. His career high is 42. And that's overthrown. Kerry Cash, the intended receiver, inside the 20. Well, the next game will bring the Kansas City Chiefs and Joe Montana forward as they will meet the Miami Dolphins. Then they go to the Jets, at the Eagles, Patriots, and Cowboys. Thanksgiving Day is when Dallas and the Dolphins will tangle.
Boy, that Chiefs game, though, that's going to be a very interesting game. You know, Montana coming off a sore hamstring.
Chiefs idle on top of the AFC West. 3rd and 10. Anthony Johnson to the 35 and knocks somebody over as he gets to the 31. That'll be enough for the first down. Oliver was over there again to make the stop. Oliver and Williams, who played at Florida, played together 3 years, and looks like Oliver limping a little bit.
He's calling for Bobby Harden. That's his backup, his replacement.
And we have a stoppage of the clock with 5 minutes as they have to bring the sticks over to measure this one. Bobby Harden was cut this year and then reassigned after, or I should say signed again after Lifford Hobley went down with an injury.
I tell you, Louis Oliver is not a guy you want to face Joe Montana without.
Ooh. That is a first down. So after the game, we hope you'll stay with us for the Holiday Inn Stadium show. Bob Neal, Kevin Kiley, Ernie Johnson. There's Kevin. Special guest Michael Irvin of the Dallas Cowboys will bring you highlights, interviews, and news from around the NFL. Michael Irvin's had a big week here. He watched Miami throttle Syracuse yesterday in the Orange Bowl.
Did a nice job in the pregame show. Always looking for my job was Michael Irvin. He's got a few good years left in him, I'm sure. I hope.
Well, I hope you have some. Here's George up the middle. Cash the intended receiver and coverage from Bruce Alexander.
You know, some guys just have a feel for the game. You know, we talked about some players and Oliver. Watch Jeff George. He feels some pressure. He feels a guy coming by. Then he protects the ball. Yeah. Thought maybe he was one of the enemy, but he wasn't going to give up a fumble. It's one of those little subtle things that over the course of a year, a career, maybe it helps you win a ball game or two.
On a second down, George, and the catch is made by Langhorne. Beautiful catch inside the 5. It'll be first and goal there. That's a 29-yard completion.
And Gary, that's one of the few passes the Colts have thrown tonight where the receivers, he's in the inside receivers, Reggie Langhorne, but the receivers didn't have their back to the defense. I mean, this you can make something happen after a catch here because you're on the move. Every other pass they've caught, their back has been to the defense, and they've been getting drilled, those wide receivers. Perfect throwing lane, well-timed throw, not too much loft on it. I mean, that's a heck of a throw and a good catch by Langhorne.
Langhorne, 9 catches for 97 yards. He was 8 for 84 in the previous meeting with the Dolphins. Timeout by Miami. They'll have 2 remaining. 4:06 left to go. So again, we will conclude our NFL coverage a week from tonight from the Metrodome. The Detroit Lions on top of the NFC Central Division. And the Minnesota Vikings, Jim McMahon. It'll be Rodney Peete who will be the starting quarterback for Wayne Fonts. The Silver Bullet Stadium show begins it all at 7:30. A black and blue division.
Oof. Did you just make that up?
I don't know. I've heard that somewhere.
Looking forward to seeing Barry Sanders.
Yes.
I mean, Barry Sanders off to a good year, and most people would have liked to have seen this guy. I mean, he's smiling today. He was not smiling yesterday. I'm talking about Dan Marino. Really disappointed because this may be the best Dolphin team since he became the quarterback in 1983. With all the weapons offensively, good offensive line, defensively with guys like Louis Oliver and Jarvis Williams and Cox and Cross.
First and goal now at the 4. Culver, who scored 2 touchdowns, gets maybe a couple of yards to the 3-yard line. Chuck Klingbeil was there to make the stop. It'll bring up second and goal. They didn't get all that much. They're going to mark the ball just outside the 3.5-yard line.
A lot of expectations, Gary. This Colt team, 9-7 a year ago, winning the last 5 games, pick up some big free agents in the offensive line, but got off to a funny start when George held out for 36 days. They're still trying to recover.
Culver diving, and he's in, and that's his 3rd touchdown tonight. 3-yard run. 1 by the air and 2 on the ground. And the Colts have answered again. You know, they only had 3 touchdowns coming into this ball game. 1 rushing.
And they scored well, more points than Sterling Sharp did today.
Well, one thing Marcia Broda has to be happy about is they just keep coming back. They're bouncing back. They're out of this game, but they haven't quit. And on a 10-play, 73-yard drive, They cut the lead to 41-26.
And Gary, they got some big plays tonight, which they didn't have coming into the ballgame.
Biasucci makes it 41-27. So Don Shula just minutes away from victory number 323.
This was supposed to be an off-tackle play. Absolutely nothing there. Roosevelt Potts kind of seals off cross number 91. Then it's a foot race to the pylon. And Rodney Culver wins that foot race for his 3rd touchdown tonight. But good seal blocks inside. 74, Schultz did his job. Potts with a good lead block. And you're right, Gary. I think just, the hanging in there, not quitting, being professionals. Now, that means something.
Well, I want to say congratulations belatedly to Don Shula. He very quietly, without fanfare, a week ago Friday, married Mary Ann, now Shula. And he had his one son, David, who couldn't come back because he was coaching the Cincinnati Bengals. But Mike, who's a tight ends coach for the Bears, was there for the ceremony. So congratulations to Don, who now is 1 win away from tying George Halas as the all-time winningest coach in the history of this league.
And Gary, we've talked about his flexibility, how he's won with different kinds of players, different kinds of teams, and generation after generation of players. Oliver with a strained foot.
Strained right foot is what we've been given officially. So they've got a lot of injuries here.
Yeah.
They've had Webster go out. Coleman was booted out of the game. Hunter's hurt. Now Oliver.
But just picking up with Shula, just, generation after generation of players, he's been able to get the most out of them, getting them to play hard every play, every game. And that's been the remarkable thing over this many years.
Well, here's the onside attempt coming up. And you can see about 8 guys lined up on the far side as Biasucci trying to place it just the way he wants it.
So I've seen kickers actually come back the other way to the one guy side too. This is always kind of interesting. Need 2 bounces on this. Need to get 2 bounces and a hop.
And it's got to go 10 yards. He waits for everybody to fire out, and he didn't get it far enough. It hit one of the Colts before it got the 10 yards up the field. Paul Butcher looks like the guy that had hit in the back foot as he was running up the field. So the man who's had his nose repaired and the bleeding stopped.
Look at the hands team, though, Gary. The hand. We talked about the hands team when you're accepting those onside kicks. Here they are. Ingram's number 82, Fryer's number 80, Byers number 41. Everybody's hoping, gosh, I hope it goes to the next guy. Hope it didn't come my way.
We got a short free kick on a kicking team. 5-yard penalty, re-kick.
They'll do it again. So they get to line up and face that onslaught again. Well, there's so many things that they talk about on Don Shula. Harvey Green, the public relations director, has reams of material on Don Shula. I mean, he's coached under 8 different presidents. I thought it was interesting that his son David was 4 years old when he came here as coach in Miami. Bill Cowher is in the 2nd grade.
Dan Marino was 2 years old. I mean, gas was 27 cents a gallon. Lettuce 29 cents a head. I mean, Harvey Green's got it all.
He does.
Well, I'm not so sure about that. 27 cents a gallon. You still have a receipt from 1963, don't you?
At 63, I never had a car, I don't think. I couldn't afford it. But he's a motivator, an intimidator, an innovator, and what I love about him is when he gets mad, that look. He gets that square jaw, right? Here we go again. And this one is caught very nicely and picked up. That's Irving Fryer. And Fryer laterals it back. And they continue up the field. That's quite a play by Fryer. He laterals the ball, and eventually Troy Vincent is grounded inside the 30. Fryer looked like a shortstop. They should have had him in the World Series the way he went down for that one. Watch this. This is an excellent play by Irving Fryer.
Yeah, here he is, number 80 right here. This is the football, by the way, but watch how he catches this thing. But I'm not so sure that Don Shula is real happy about the lateral here. I mean, they're ahead 41-27. Hang on to it. Get out of bounds. Don't get out of bounds. Run the clock out. Whoops.
Well, anyway, they end up at the 27-yard line. Higgs and Byers in the backfield. 3:02 left in the game. Here's Higgs, and he's going to be tackled by Jeff Harrod. Harrod dragging him down back at the 29. A loss on the play.
Well, for Ted Marchibroda,
he's going to use his final timeout.
You know, he was saying to us yesterday, I feel like this is really the opening game for us. I finally have my personnel in place. You know,
well, we've got more guys cut than in a fight, as Kevin Cole now being cut, and that'll take us to our movie tonight. How about this?
Well,
nice transition,
segue,
right?
Yeah.
Tonight, Robert Duvall has been framed for murder at a Maverick Bush pilot. The only man who could save him from rotting in a Mexican jail. Breakout. Starring Charles Bronson, Robert Duvall, and Jill Ireland. Well, there's a rose among all those thorns.
There you go.
Follows the Holiday Inn Stadium show.
I love the way
TNT.
you just kind of ad-lib those, Gary.
Charles Bronson. All right. Well, Jack Trudeau, who had started the first 5 games for the Colts, watching
there they are.
Jeff George, and
wow, thin heads trying to decide what is the difference between corn and maize. That is their question of the evening.
What's the difference between Milo and maize? That's what you should have said. See, an old farmer like me, I know they'll say, here's Byers to the 25-yard line. Well, a week from tonight, we'll see some strange people. It's Halloween.
Joe's Jim McMahon. And
no, I'm not talking about Jim McMahon. I mean the people in the stands.
October 31st. There you go.
Halloween will be here. Your kids, have they already decided what they're going to wear for Halloween?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're all going out. They're all going out as Gary Bender. They're going to have their pockets sewn up. You know.
That'll scare some people. 3rd down now. 7 yards to go. I just never cease to be amazed by the abuse I take. Here's Higgs again. Nice cutback, and Higgs in drill backwards. Dwayne Pickett made the stop there, and Higgs has really played quite a game as we have come to the 2-minute warning. 98 yards for Higgs, 16 carries, 41-27. Joe Robbie Stadium, the home of the Dolphins, who lead this one 41-27. Just about to go 5-1 and pull into a first-place tie with the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East. Colts will drop to 2-4, and the Colts next game with New England at home. New England losing 10-9 today to Seattle. Boy, Tom Flores, they've won 4 games out there in Seattle now.
Twice as many as they did all of last season. 2 of those wins over New England.
Higgs and Byers in the backfield on a 4th down, 6 yards to go. Higgs is going to get the first down. And the race is on, and Higgs goes over the 100-yard mark for the night and has a 1st and goal inside the 5. This guy has just been relentless. That's a 16-yard gain.
You know, we began the show talking about the versatility of Byers and Jackson and Terry Kirby. Now, Mark Higgs is their runner, their designated runner. And when he gets the ball, everybody comes into the game. Everybody knows he's going to run it. But he gets a lead block by Keith Byers. And he may not be as versatile as some of the other guys, but boy, he can run.
And it just shows you again what a repertoire Scott Mitchell has. I mean, he doesn't have to do it all himself. He's got so many ways to go.
Well, their defense has scored tonight. Special teams has scored.
Here is Byers, and no place to go there. So 1:47 left in the game. The Colts have no timeouts left. Miami has 2, as this Miami Dolphin team losing only to the Jets, a game they did not play well defensively. Give some credit to Boomer Esiason and his troops. But the win they had in Buffalo was big. And now without Dan Marino, the Scott Mitchell era here in '93 the rest of the way, and they look like they're in pretty good hands.
Yeah, you know, we said with Dan Marino, this team is clearly, you could see in the Super Bowl. I mean, they have ways to go with Scott Mitchell, but you know, this isn't just some rookie playing for him. It's a guy with 4 years experience to use his time behind Dan Marino to learn a lot about the game, and he's got NFL talent, Gary. He's got an NFL arm and certainly an NFL mind.
So they drop to a knee. The Colts can't stop the clock, and Don Shula against Kansas City next week could tie George Halas with his 324th victory of his great career, which has spanned now a total of 31 seasons, 24 of them in Miami. So Shula with a victory. Been a big week for him and the Dolphins. Now go to with the backup quarterback coming in, and Mitchell getting the job done here tonight. (41-27) Miami. We have a tie for first in the AFC East once again at 5-1 between the Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. We'll be back with more as we'll put a wrapper on this one, and then stay tuned for the Holiday Inn Stadium show, which will follow.